I'm going to record this as well so that we can have this for later. All right. All right. So we're on recording. Awesome. And you guys can see my screen. And we're also going to use the chat. So if you want to pull up the chat on your side, just make sure you can see that. And I'm going to be asking questions. And if you guys have questions, you can definitely put them in the chat. All right, so I'm going to put something in here just so we can get it going. And if you want, please do put where you're viewing this from, if you're in Jacksonville or if you're somewhere else. And also maybe put your most annoying thing that you don't like about social media. And why, like maybe why you're here in a way. So just that, maybe that annoying thing about social media that just gets you and you're like, you know what, this isn't even worth it, is it? But that's what we're going to kind of go through today and really get to know that social media is worth it, but we have to do it the right way for it to make the most sense. So we're going to do that today. Awesome. Thank you, Terilyn, for coming today. You too as well, Sherry. Thank you. All right. So the thing that I do is something a little different. Thank you guys for chiming in. It's called algorithm proof social media. And the reason that I do this is because social media needs to have its place. It needs to have a bucket. We don't need it to have, to be basically taken over by, what social media has become, right? We need to actually make it something that we can manage rather than it being something that we're told to manage. So and like the way that it is, like I know somebody mentioned politics and stuff like that. So I'm going to show you a different way to do it for business so that it doesn't take over your life and it doesn't make you crazy when it comes to all the other stuff that social media can be. So we're going to get started with that. I am Elizabeth Pampalone. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm actually an international speaker here in Jacksonville, and I do a lot with my groups here, like the SBDC, SCORE, some of my favorites, also with, of course, UNF Veterans and Military and Veterans Center, which I love working with you guys as well. So I do a lot of speaking around the city, but I also do international speaking. I've spoken this year in Malaysia and also Australia and the UK. So definitely had a lot of a lot of stuff going on with that. But I love to teach this subject because it has so many components to it. And I know that it can get overwhelming. And so I want to make it as simple as I possibly can. And that's my mission with all of marketing, is to make it as simple as I can. All right. So I actually have a podcast. It is called the Absolute Marketing Podcast. That's the name of my business. And I have a different podcast every Tuesday. Now you're thinking, okay, more podcast, more stuff to listen to. This is only 2 minutes, so I think you might be okay with that. You might be able to do that. And I send out an email every month as well, or I'm sorry, every week with those as well. So you'll get a little notification. You can visit my website, which I'm going to put in the chat here, and /podcast, which I'll put here as well. So if you go to that website, you'll actually be able to listen to all the past episodes. There's around 50 or 60 now, and you'll be able to also you can sign up for our email list and get all that information sent to your inbox. Okay, so let's get started with this. This is going to be a very much a hands-on day. So if you don't have pen and paper, I always even come with my own, because I know I get questions and things I need to add to my podcast later, or add to my slideshow later. And so I like to have pen and paper ready, but I would encourage you to have something ready, even if it's your phone you're going to take notes on or whatnot. But just to have something, because we're going to do some exercises about your business, about social media, and I want you to have something ready that you can write down on. And then other than that, we're also going to do a couple of hands-on exercises about actually writing posts. So make sure that you have a way to do that as well. Handwriting them is perfect. Or if you want to, have, a spreadsheet handy or something like that, or a Word document, that works as well. So we're going to get started with this. First thing is, I hate social media. It's such a waste of time. If you feel like that, you can, I think there's a Is there like a thumbs up thing or something somewhere, or like a yes in the comments would work as well? Yeah, raise your hand even. There's the little thumbs up guy. Yeah, I see that. There we go. Yeah, if this is like it's a waste of time, then yeah, give me a thumbs up or hand up. That works as well. Yeah, it does seem like a waste of time because what happens is as consumers, we get sucked into the basically the vortex, if you will, and we get sucked into that. But what we actually need to do is look at this not only from a business owner standpoint, but also from a consumer standpoint. So there's a lot of things we don't like about social media, but there's a lot of things that's really helpful for, and we've used it for as well, just even in our own personal lives. So I want you to keep that in mind. And if my hair starts messing with my microphone, let me know. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to think about ourselves. Remember that you are a consumer also. So if there's something you don't like that people do on social media, don't do that. Okay? Do not do that. That is your mission and your goal is to not do the things that you don't like, even if someone in the industry or a guru tells you to do them. Okay? So we do not want to do those things that we do not like, even if they seem like we should do them. And then this is going to keep us away from this whole I hate social media thing. And the waste of time thing, it really goes to the fact that sometimes we don't know what to do. And so we just do a lot and then it becomes overwhelming. And that's what the waste of time feels like because we don't feel like we accomplished anything. So we're going to overcome that today. And I want you to know that this is a pretty recent statistic. So I'm going to say probably within the last year, it definitely has gone up because of COVID. But we don't have those stats yet because we're not fully 1 year out of that. So probably by the summer, I'll have new stats. But this is the current stats, which is 84% of all internet users have a social media account. So this is huge. It's probably around 90% now. And as we start to move forward in the generations, you're going to see that even an internet user might have an email account, maybe my grandparents' age, they don't necessarily have social media accounts. But as those people start to pass on and then those younger generations come forward, it's interesting that we're seeing more people with social media accounts, but actually the Gen Zers are not opening social media accounts. They're opening very few of them. They do have social media accounts, but they're not opening a Facebook, a Twitter, a Pinterest. Like they're not opening 10. They're opening like 2, and the 2 that they want to be on. So keep that in mind as well. And as we go through this, we're going to actually go through your demographic and your psychographics of your actual person that is your your avatar, your target market for your business. And we're going to really focus on not being everywhere, but being in the right place at the right time. So hopefully that will help you as well to cut down on that overwhelm. I'm just going to go in here real quick and look at some of these comments really quickly. What to post, when to post is the most annoying. Gotcha. Yeah, we're going to cover that. Social media is too immediate, makes it hard to keep up with. Yes, we're going to cover that as well because there's actually a way to do that. Let's see. There's so many platforms. Yes, I totally get you. Different audiences across different platforms. Okay, great. Well, we're going to cover a lot of this today, so don't worry about that. We're going to get straight to it. So the first thing, we're going to actually do a little bit of my branding talk right now because this is so important for social media. Is we can't do social media unless we actually know our brand and know who we're speaking to. So the first thing we're going to do is go through who is our target market. Now, I want you to put in the comments if you have, I'm sorry, this is covered up here. Let's see. Nope. Let's see if it'll go away. There we go. If you have a business plan, okay? I want you to put in the comments if you have a business plan, just yes or no. Awesome. Now, everyone thinks a business plan needs to be 50 pages and needs to be for funding and it takes forever and all that stuff. Your business plan could be 1 page. In my online membership, we actually have 1-page business plans. If you're not going for funding, if you're not taking it to the bank, by the way, if you do need a business plan for funding, I actually have a colleague that does that. She's amazing at it. But and I actually recommend you have someone else write it. They help you to kind of get all the right pieces in there so the bank can actually fund you. But if you don't have a business plan, even one page is going to be better, and it's going to give you a 50% more likelihood of success if you do just even one page. So what we try to do is we say, "Oh, it's in my head. I know what we're doing." But what happens is then we say yes to things that don't align with our business plan. We say we take on things, we create new products that actually don't align with what we're trying to do, but we don't have anything concrete to go back to measure it against. And so then we get confused and we might add things we shouldn't, and we spend money we shouldn't, and things happen. And if we actually had a business plan, even just one page, we when things come by and opportunities come up, we can have it on our wall, we can have it in our notebook, we can have it somewhere we know it's going to be every time, and we can go back to it and say, does this line up with what I said I want to do? Does this line up with what I'm going to do? Now, if our business changes over time, scrap that business plan, write a new one, because it's one page, you can do it quick, right? But you can add things to it, you can change it. It's a living document, if you will. But at the same time, we don't want to just change it and change our whole business just because of one thing that we might want to add, put in or do right at that moment. We want to make sure that we're staying true to our actual business model and business plan. So this is going to make a huge difference if you don't have one. If you do have one, have you added things? Have you done stuff that doesn't fit with your business plan, that doesn't go with your business model? So think about those things and maybe remove some of those things, even if it seems like, well, I spent money on it or I had spent time on it. It's going to be better in the long run if you stick to a business plan rather than to keep bouncing all over and doing lots of different things. So I like to start with the idea of a business plan when we start with social media, because when we do a marketing plan, we're doing the same kind of thing, but we're doing it with marketing specifics. So I like to start with the mission and vision, and this actually equals your branding. Now, how many of you have a solid brand? And I'm going to tell you what a solid brand is before you answer, okay? So a solid brand is knowing who you are, knowing what you do, and knowing who you share it with, and having a logo that really clearly conveys that messaging in who you are, what you do, and who you share it with. So your logo is not your brand. Your logo is a logo, right? And your colors that are in your logo are part of the logo, and your fonts are also part of the logo. Those three pieces of the logo, the actual image, or whatever it is, the graphic, having the colors and the fonts, those three pieces together create your logo. Does that logo, all the pieces, the colors, the fonts, the imagery, does that convey who you are, what you do, and who you're sharing it with? Does it speak to who you're sharing it with? Does it tell them what you do? Does it give them a sense of who you are? So now that we know what a brand is, do you have a solid 100% wouldn't change a thing brand? Put that in the comments. We have one yes. And a no is okay, or a maybe is okay, because I'm going to show you a couple of things of how you can actually move forward with that and how you can change those things. Because yeah, see you guys, this is good. Thank you for being honest. I appreciate you. I'm with you. Okay. I'm here to make you better. I'm here to help you out. So these next pieces are crucial. Having that solid brand is crucial to actually putting out social media. I wouldn't want anybody who does not have a solid brand to start putting social media out. That will be a waste of time. That will feel like, why did I do that? Now I got nothing for it, right? So if you don't have a solid brand yet, I don't want you to push out social media. I want you to think about the things we talk about today. I want you to do the exercises still. I want you to write the posts, but I want you to go back before you start shoving things online. And I want you to actually fix that brand. Okay. I work with people when I do it, and I work with them for one day and it's done. And we get it right every time. Like the old copper robbers, cops and robbers movies and shows, they'd be like, I always get my man. I always get my brand, always. And I think a lot of it comes from people working with another person. So you just find someone who knows how to do this kind of stuff, someone who is good at this, who can help you out, who knows graphic design, who knows about marketing and branding and things like that. Having that other person help you it makes so much difference, because you're not sitting there, looking at it going, I'm so close to it, right? So I always give this analogy. So if you can see my face, huh? You're looking at it and you're so close to it that you can't even see it. So if you put your hand up against your nose, you cannot even see your hand. You see everything around it, right? Your hand is so close you can't see it in focus at all. But then as you pull back, you can see your hand perfectly. And this is what other people can see. They're like, well, your brand's right there. I see it. It's right there. But you're like, what? Where? I don't see it. No, I don't see it at all, because you're too close to it. So having someone else be able to look at it with you for you is really, really helpful. So keep that in mind as we go forward. So the mission vision statement goes to saying who you are, what you do, and basically what your vision is for the future of this brand. And we're going to look at a couple of breakdowns of these as well. And we're going to talk about niche as well too. So don't worry, Joe, we got you covered. So I want you guys to look at this picture really quick. This is a picture that I found online. I'm not going to tell you where I found it from yet. And I want you to tell me what brand this reminds you of. What brand does this remind you of? You can put that in the comments. Go ahead and put that right in the comments. Let's see here. Pier 1, IKEA, Health and Wellness, Shabby Chic, Wayfair, Joanna Gaines, Gaines at Target, IKEA. We have 2 people that kind of win. There's no prizes, I'm sorry. But if we were in person, I'd definitely be throwing candy at you or something. 2 people that definitely won this round, and that is Serena and Sherry English. It is not a Joanna Gaines photo, but that's what I was going for. You can see here, these are her actual brand photos. And this is a stock photo that I found. Okay. So when we think of a strong brand, we think of somebody who has such a strong aesthetic and such a strong visual, such a strong message, that you could substitute a stock photo and you would probably get a similar effect. Okay. And so the reason I use her as an example is because she has the same image, the same visual for her whole brand. Everything goes together. If you see something of hers, you're like, I bet that's Joanna Gaines. Oh, that probably looks like Joanna Gaines. Like, it goes with it. Okay. So what we want to do for our brand is we want to make sure that we are so recognizable that we don't even have to have our own photos. Even we can use stock photos. We just need to choose the right ones because they go with our brand, right? And this is going to be helpful for when you're actually putting out social media images. Some people will put out cartoons, some people will put out cat videos, some people will put all these different things, but then they don't actually go with their brand. They don't make sense to put out for their brand. So when we do this, we want to make sure that we're sticking to that brand and we're not either moving too far away from it by putting, like, if a Joanna Gaines posted a cartoon or one of those like old timey email gifs, right? With the bear and it's like sparkly and all that stuff. If she posted that on her social media, you'd be very confused, wouldn't you? You'd be like, what are you doing, woman? Like, what is this? You might think it's cute, but you'd be like, wait, what are you doing? So what we want to do when we put out social media is we want to look at it and say, does this, if my customers saw this, would they go, that's Elizabeth? Yep, looks just like, yep, that's her. Yep, oh, look, that's the green color again. So when we actually go out and put out things, we need them to all social media, email marketing, website, collateral, like printed pieces of paper, our rack cards, menus, business cards, flyers, all of those things, all of that stuff, we want to make sure is branded to us and it looks like us. Okay. So that we're not going, I think this is cute. I think this will work. And then people see it and they're like, what? And they don't even know that it was you. Have you ever been scrolling through your social media feed and then you see something and you go to tell someone about it later because you're like, oh yeah, I saw this thing, and you can't even remember who posted it? It just doesn't even like register. You're just like, oh, anyway, it was this thing. I can't remember who put it out there, but it was this thing. It was really cool. And it's because it doesn't go with them. It doesn't remind you of them. It's someone else's work even. Now, if I posted something and it was in that green and it had my signature little question mark on it and had a question or had my picture or something like that, you would be like, Elizabeth posted this the other day. It was really neat, because you would know. Or I saw Joanna Gaines posted this the other day, because you would know it was her. You would associate it with her, not only subconsciously with the other photo, but you would also take note of who it was, because in your mind you'd go, you see the photo and your brain will go, is that Joanna Gaines? And then you'll look at the actual name and you'll go, yep, Joanna Gaines. And then it like solidifies in your brain. You're like, then when you go to remember it, it was Joanna Gaines. She posted this the other day. So when we post something on the internet, especially whether it's whether it's online, like a social media platform, especially because it goes so quickly, but with anything, we need to have that branded presence. Now I will go to this thing really quickly. I'll show you my website really quickly. So on here, this is my website. It is my two colors, well, three, four if you want to count black and white. But this pale green, which is a variant of this dark green, and this tan color. And we have a couple different, shades of the tan color as well. It's all green and tan, a little bit of black and white thrown in. And when people see this, or when people see me in the green dress when I speak, or I'm wearing green today, I actually have people come up to me, and this is how strong I want your brand to be for your social media purposes as well. They'll see something that I posted, they'll see something that I put out there, and they'll say, I saw that you posted this, because I've branded it, because I used my colors, because I didn't let someone else create the post for me. I did them myself. And I know that sounds like a lot more work, but as we get into the rest of today, you're going to see that it's actually not that much work. But I want to really impress upon you that this brand idea needs to be so strong. It doesn't need to be monochromatic. It doesn't need to be just one color or just two colors, but it needs to be strong. Okay. I'll show you another website that I just recently did. This website is a chiropractor site, and her branding is also very strong. She has her logo. It has this color, this teal color. She has, photos that mostly support that. You can see the teal throughout these photos here in the background. So there's going to be this strong brand that says, wow, that looks so put together. I don't know what else I could say about it, is that it just looks like it goes together, right? Nothing on here is a different random color. Yeah, she's only using one color really, but it works because it's done correctly. So this can go even into her social media as well. You can see she's got this like same pale blue, and there's some teal here. And she really does use that same aesthetic. If you saw these pictures or these photos, you'd more than likely, if you had been following her, you'd associate them with her because you know her brand and her aesthetic. So I just wanted to kind of go back to that to show you guys that it really does matter what your brand is like. And that's how you create a strong brand, is to have something so recognizable that you could pull a stock photo and people would think it was you. And within my brand as well, I've spoken in a green dress or worn green before. And I've had people come up to me afterwards and say, I was in the store the other day and I saw this green dress. It was your green. My green? I just wear green. I don't have a patent on the color, I promise. Even I have a bag back here. I don't know if you can see it. Kate Spade bag. It's the green that I like to use. It's kind of my same color that's on my website. It's just a bag. They make tons of things in that. It's called Kelly green or grass green. It's out there everywhere, right? But the fact that someone was in a store, not in front of me, hadn't heard from me in a while, was doing their own thing on their personal time, shopping, and they thought of me because they saw a color, that's a strong brand. That's a really strong brand. And then they thought of it later to tell me about it. So that just goes to show that is such a strong brand that I didn't have to do anything and they thought about me. So that's our whole purpose with this, is to say, your brand is so strong that I don't even have to see something that's actually yours, and I think about you, or I'll mention you, or you will be brought to mind. And that's what we saw all these names: Pier 1, IKEA, Wayfair. You thought of something that reminded you of. So that means those also have strong brands as well. Home Goods was another one that was on here too. So hopefully that makes sense, guys. You guys getting a little bit out of it that kind of gives you a sense of, what we're going for here as far as the branding. Like thumbs up if you do. Awesome. Yay, thank you. All right. So, we are going to go ahead and move on to the target market analysis. Now, for the mission and vision statement, let me actually pull up another, one. I'm just going to show you what that looks like. I didn't plan on doing this part, but I want you guys to see it really quickly, because I think it'll be important. Hold on one second. Got too many things going on here. Okay. There's actually a Starbucks mission vision. Let's see here. Here we go. There it is. Okay. This is their mission right here. I don't know if you guys can see that. To inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. This is their mission and vision, slash, some of their values are here listed as well, but their mission and their vision is kind of together, because they're basically saying we want to have Starbucks in every neighborhood. And that's basically saying what they want to do for the future. It's not 10 million sentences. It's not 50 pages, right? It's a sentence. And it's really hard to write a mission sometimes because you're trying to cram all your ideas into one sentence. But what we can do is we can work through this and we can work at it for a while. You don't have to have the mission done before your brand is done, but you need to at least know some of this. Thank you, dear. You need to at least know some of this and have an idea of what it is, so that you're not, floundering around. And this is going to help you figure out the social media stuff so much easier, because when you know this, then you actually don't have to worry about what are you posting and when are you posting. That stuff comes to you much easier when you have that mission and vision. So for example, when I do my social media, I have one message. I create 1 year of marketing in 5 days. That's my message, right? That's all I have to worry about saying. And everything that I do goes to that. Everything that I do pushes that idea forward. Okay. So, what we're going to do is go back. Let me go back here really quickly. Awesome. Close out some of these things so it goes a little quicker. So we're going to go into the target market analysis. Okay. And I really encourage you. I have a membership, which I'm going to give you guys access to in a little bit. And it actually has a one-page business plan system in it. So you can download the one-page business plan, and it gives you videos on how to fill out each section. So I really encourage you to do that as well. Sorry about that. Might have to take a couple water breaks as we go. Excuse me. Okay, so we're going to create the avatar next. And how many of you have done target market analysis or created an avatar? How many of you guys have done that so far? So many, Jessica says. Okay. Okay, no, you haven't, Natalie. Okay, awesome. No, Gravatar with a GR, it's not the same. No, avatar is something different. So this is basically your target market, the people you're trying to attract to your business. All right, so persona is another idea of this. Yes. Yeah, another word for it is persona, things like that. All right, so we're going to go through this because if you don't have these set, and even if you do have them set, I want to give you a little bit of an insight into this of what you should be looking at for each of these people, okay? And we're going to think of them as individuals as well. So we're not going to think of them as this big group or anything, or we're going to try and reach 1 million of these types of people. We're actually thinking of this as one person so that we can actually focus on one person and not worry about anybody else. Because when we talk to someone, we want to talk to them. We want them to feel like we're talking just to them, not that we're talking to a group of 100, because that's less personal. So when we think about it as a person, we can actually speak to them more effectively. Okay. So let's go to the next page here. Let me quit some of these things on my computer really quick because I've got a couple of things open. Maybe this will go a little quicker. There we go. All right. So with target marketing, you are not for everyone. Okay. You can actually more effectively communicate, which we talked about, and more effectively compete if you're not for everyone. And we don't want you to be too vague or too broad. We want to be narrow. We want to niche down. So here we are, Joe, what's just for you. This step also saves you marketing money. Okay, so this can save you marketing money, time, investments, efforts, hiring people, all that stuff. So let's look at some target market examples. This one is Publix. And this is their target market analysis. Under 24 to over 65. So we have this range. Green means it's more prominent. And red means it's less prominent. So if we look at this, the demographics of Publix are 45 to 65 is their majority. Actually, most of their majority is in 65 and over. And then we have the African American and the Hispanic populations just edging out Caucasian, and then we have Asian as the lowest. And then we have the incomes are mostly in the 40 to 60 range, and then we have them really pushing out in the 100 to 125 plus range. Most people have an advanced degree, no kids, and they do fill-ups, pantry stocking, and express lane are their highest, rather than the urgent need. An urgent need would be something like you run into CVS to grab something, you know. So most people are going either in for something for a meal, which they're buying 3 to 10 items, or they're going in for like their weekly shopping. Now, what I want to tell you about this is there are a few things that affect this very heavily. Publix was originally based, or they are based in our, originally grew their, empire, if you will, from Florida. So if we know anything about Floridian demographics, it is the highest population of over 65 in the country. So if we look at that, and we know that most people are over 65 in this state, or the highest population of them are in this state, and that's where Publix started, even though there are Publixes in Georgia and Publixes in other states. If we look at that and we say, okay, over 65 makes sense. And then we say Florida has a large Hispanic population, which is why they're the highest demographic here. That makes sense, right? So we're looking at the region and going, okay, all these things are tracking. And then we look at the income level, 100 to 125 plus. If we look at that, most people in the 65 plus range have had a lot of time to earn money in their careers. They have put money into retirement, which they're now using. They have bought and sold many homes over their lifetimes in most cases. They have had time to, if we look down at the next one, get an advanced degree, right? People in their 20s don't have advanced degrees yet because they haven't had time to do it. So if we look at these, and then the no kids, right? Because they're older. They're not old, they're older, right? But they're empty nesters. They got the kids out, they're grandparents now maybe, but the no kids. Doesn't all of this make sense? So when we look at ourselves and we look at our own demographics, are we able to, Andrew, you're funny. Are we able to actually see this in our own businesses for our own demographics? Does it track this much, right? So when we look at Publix and we're like, great, we've got, you know, we're in Florida or we're in Jacksonville or whatever, and we know the general demographics of the city or the place where we are or the industry that we're in. How does that track with who we're trying to reach, who we say that our demographics are, right? I used to think that my demographics were, you know, women, that were, you know, because I do work with men as well, but that they were mostly women and that they were, you know, 35 to 55 or something like that. And what I found out was when I actually looked back at my customer base, because these are all actual customers in Publix. Okay. This is like a poll type thing where they did the poll, you know, not a poll, but like they know who's coming to their store based on credit card receipts and all that stuff. They know who's coming into the store. These are the actual numbers. These are actual numbers for that. So we look back at our own services and who we've actually already helped, whether we did it for free, whether we did it for pay, it doesn't matter. Okay. Even if we started out and we did things for family and friends, whatever, who were our best customers? Who came to us the most? We should have these type of numbers. We should have this type of information. So this is called the demographic. There's also a demographic here for GIF, which I like to use. And if we look at this, we can see a lot of older people, over 45, not this younger crowd, right, are buying GIF. And I want this to also go back to something that GIF has been around a long time. They're an old brand. And when people are in their formative years up to this 45 mark, that's when they decide, and actually it's the first two, up to 35. This is when they decide what brands they buy. And we're talking national brands, large brands, okay? But this does kind of give you this idea as well for your own business. If you notice, none of the beer commercials or the Jif commercials or the Fritos commercials, you know, pick a food, any kind of food, have older people in them. I think it's ageist of them, but they don't have older people in them. And it's because by the time you're 40, 35, 40, you've chosen the brands you like already. You've been introduced to brands through your teens, 20s, and 30s, and you've already chosen what you're going to buy. Will you change your mind sometimes? Maybe if there's a health concern or there's another issue, or maybe you could become allergic to something, that happens. But will you change the brand that you've eaten every day for 50 years, 40 years? No, probably not. Even if they tell you that sugar is bad for you and that a lot of it's in Jif, probably not. You like the way it tastes. You don't like the way that other stuff tastes. So even if that's the case, you've already made your decisions on those brands. Young people have not. They have not made those major decisions. So when we look at this and we see, wow, 45 plus is buying this stuff, it's because they've already made the brand decision. Then we look here, if we go to income, we see 60 to 125. That kind of tracks with this 45 plus idea. And then we see that, you know, college advanced degree, when you buy Jif, there's not really much of a, you know, people that are working, which makes sense. You know, it's kind of all even there. And then has kids edges out no kids, even though no kids is there. It just edges it out. People that have kids buy it for their kids and they, you know, feed it to their kids, but it's because they had already made their brand decision and that's what they buy and that's what they feed them. And a lot of people are having kids older as well, which is why you see that high 45 to 54. And then you have the brand affinities. And this is one of the things I really like about this particular demographic split here is these brand affinities. If you look at it, it says Welch's, Cheerios, Kellogg's, and Crisco. Now, I will tell you exactly why. Most of you guys probably know this. Welch's obviously is grape jelly or some kind of jelly or jam. So most people do peanut butter and jelly. So both of these are bought together. Peanut butter and Cheerios are often bought together because people will actually eat peanut butter out of a jar and just dip in Cheerios and that'll be their, you know, meal. And then Kellogg's, same thing. You can also make different kinds of desserts and bars with Kellogg's flakes and also Cheerios. And then you have Crisco. This is an interesting one because this is what you use for peanut butter cookies. So most people think you use butter, but you don't. You actually use Crisco. So another brand affinity, if you're going to make peanut butter cookies, gotta have peanut butter and Crisco. So there's some things like that you're going to see here, but the brand affinity means they're bought together, they're purchased together. So when you're putting out social media, you need to be thinking of who has my customer before me and who has my customer after me. Don't think your customer is going to be, they're going to come to you and that's going to be it. They're never going to go anywhere else. No, there's a brand affinity there that they're going to have to figure out. And if you want that brand affinity to be controlled by you, then you need to say, hey, are you coming from this place to me? Because I'm here in this section of your journey, right? You're not there for the whole journey. You're there for this part, right? Whatever it is you do, it doesn't matter. If you're coming from this place, you're in the right spot. If you're going to this place next, you need us first to help you out so that you can be prepared for that next phase. So who has your customer before you? Who has your customer after you? Those are some things you're going to think about when you look at brand affinity. Or if there's something people do at the same time that you're doing, something like Welch's and Jif, right? You put them together to make an amazing sandwich. Then you need to make sure that you're having, you know, who those brands are, who those other people are, so that you can say, and also work with so-and-so with us, right? And make those connections yourself so that you can actually have those partners ready. So now, you know how they had the goober jelly, like that was a big thing where they had the peanut butter and the jelly together. They were trying to be a little extra convenient, which didn't quite work out. But it was the idea that you're going to buy peanut butter and you're going to buy jelly. So why not just buy them together? And there were brands that collaborated to make that. Nestle, like the Nestle brands with candy and had businesses throughout your life use based on your nostalgia. I'm not quite sure what you meant. So let's see. Sherry, how'd you go make a peanut butter jelly? But yeah, it's the idea that you want to make the idea happen for the customer already. You want to make those connections for them. You don't want them to have to try and be forced to make those connections, because then they might make the wrong connection and that could hinder what you're trying to help them with, right? So for example, when we talk here today, I'm not just going to send you off and say, okay, go do some social media stuff. I'm going to say, here's the product you use. Here's a way you can use to plan it. Here's something. I'm going to give you all the next pieces, right? Because I want you to have the best success. And I know what brand affinities should be next. And I know where you're coming from in most cases, because you guys all got here. So yay. But in what we want to do is just make sure that we're making those brand connections for our customers and we're not letting them worry about it, because we can take care of that for them. All right. So let's go to the next slide. I hope this has been helpful for you guys. I know this is going to be a long day, but tell me how you're feeling. Tell me how you're doing. Step away if you need to. Bathroom breaks. All bathroom passes are free. You can have a bathroom pass. All right. Just give me a thumbs up, a check-in every now and then. Okay. Being specific. Wrenching down again. Being specific does not limit you. It focuses them. And by them, I mean people who are going to tell other people about you. Okay. Let's see here. I have a question. You would like to change your software for demographics. What is that site? This site that I showed you is actually no longer visibly available to consumers, unfortunately. I have access to a few specific pages, but it's not available to consumers. But it is, this type of demographic information is available. There are things like Reference USA, which you can look at. I know the UNF, SBDC, and SCORE all have, in the library, all have access to Reference USA and some other options where you can really get your demographics down, especially for regions or for industries, things like that. So definitely check into those resources, and they're free resources. Nesquik you loved as a kid, but Nestle owns hundreds of businesses and yes, exactly. That is totally true. That is exactly right, Joe. So I can definitely say that, they're putting that out there to say, hey, we're Nestle still, right? But even though it might not be exactly what you had as a kid. And also, if you think about it, I actually bought the other day, and this is something so funny. Yeah, SBDC has it on here. Awesome. I bought Golden Grams the other day. Okay, you guys know Golden Grams, the cereal, right? Let me tell you something about Golden Grams. They had on their box retro recipe. Okay, I remember eating Golden Grams as a kid. I've eaten them since then. Didn't taste very good. I wasn't very, thrilled. And I saw it said retro recipe, and it was a big box. It was like a $5 box. Okay, and I thought, I wonder if they actually went back. And so that was their whole point, was we're going to try and catch you with this little catchy advertising, right? Our branding, retro, right? And I was like, I'm going to try it. I'm going to pay the $5 and I'm going to try it and just see what it is. That's what I have for breakfast this morning, y'all. Okay. I actually did. It was like I was 5 again, 10, 8, whatever. I felt like I was 8 having cereal in the morning. I was floored that it actually took me back so quickly from just one, like the first spoonful. It was insane because it was an original recipe. It was that retro recipe. Now I feel old, but it was the original recipe that they started with, or that they had used during the time when I was a kid. And so them to actually go back and do that, I'd already chosen my brand, right? But if I stopped buying it, why? Because they changed something and it wasn't the original. So I just stopped. And then they got me back because now they got the retro recipe. So, but my point with that is that they can, once you've chosen your brand, you've chosen it, but things can happen where you can change your mind, but they can always try and change it back, right? So if you look for those things, you'll actually see a lot of that stuff happening this year, where people are going back to different original recipes, putting sugar back in things, not high fructose corn syrup, blah, 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 stuff like that. So anyway, let's get back to this. Being specific doesn't limit you, it focuses them. So you're going to have people sharing about you. They're going to be sharing your your company with people. They're going to be saying, hey, so and so did work for me, it was great. But when they say that, or when they hear something that could be useful to you, so maybe I'm talking with a friend and they're like, yeah, I really need a chimney sweep, and I know that someone's a chimney sweep. I don't need one and I don't ever use one, but I know someone who does, right? I found someone who does, and then I know that you do that. Then I can say, okay, how do I tell this person that, the chimney sweep I know is really good? How do I bring that into conversation? And how do I know this is the right person for them? If your message is so specific and so clear, then it doesn't matter. So instead of saying, oh, Elizabeth, she does that marketing stuff, Elizabeth creates 5 days or 1 year of marketing in 5 days. That's a message. That's something when you tell somebody that, they're like, oh, I got to know about that. I got to hear about that. But if you're like, oh yeah, Elizabeth, she does that marketing stuff, that's not it's too broad. It's too open, right? It could mean a billion different things. So what we want to do is say our message should be so clear that Elizabeth can create all of your marketing for the whole year in 5 days. And if somebody else can remember that for you and say that to someone else when you're not even there, that's real branding. That's real, true target marketing. And for them to know that would trigger in their mind, this person needs marketing help, she can help you in 5 days. Or this person needs sales training. This company, they have exactly what you need because they do X, Y, and Z. Like, it's boom, boom, boom. Like, I know exactly what they do, right? So being narrow in your focus doesn't limit you at all, but it focuses everyone else to help you to get the word out and to share what you're sharing. It also will help you when you're trying to put social media out, because you're not going to have this broad thing like, well, I could talk about marketing. That's really broad. I'm going to talk about the 5 days. I'm going to talk about the specifics of those. Sorry about that. My goodness. This is what we just looked at for the target market. And I want to take a few minutes to actually give my voice a break for a second and to give you some time to actually go through this. So if you haven't written these things down or looked through them on your own, go ahead and make a list of these things. I'm going to leave this slide up here. I'm going to mute myself for just a minute. and go ahead and write these things down, jot a few ideas down, because this is actually going to come in handy when we actually start choosing social platforms. And we're going to do that in a few minutes. So definitely write these things down if you don't have them already. If you do have them, pull them out, make sure you have them listed in this way, so that we can actually, when we get to that part, you'll just be like, you'll be able to pick them really quickly. You won't be, hunting around for info. So fill this in. I'm going to give us a little pause. Go get a drink, run to the bathroom, whatever you need to do. We're going to take about 5 or so minutes. We'll come back at like 10:01, 10:02. Off and will not start. Oh, it's because it's still converting this silly thing. Okay, so keep filling this in. I'm actually going to go to the next slide as well. And this psychographics is the personality side of things. So if you don't have these, I would highly recommend, going through and writing these down as well. But this is, if you already have the, the age and the gender and the location and, income and kids and marital status and all that stuff, then what we would do is look at their psychographics. And this is a little bit harder to determine sometimes, but when you know your customers or you know people you've worked with, it's easier to kind of look at this and go, oh yeah, my people are like this, or they like these things, or they have these attitudes towards things, or these are their values and these are their lifestyles. So this can actually help you put out the right social media at the right times, so that you're being sensitive to them. You're looking at their values and saying, I value the same things you do. And a lot of times, I'm going to give you a few minutes to work on this as well, but a lot of times we are our own demographic and we are our own psychographic. So this can be really close usually to what we already do and who we already are, that we could look at ourselves in some cases, but we also want to look at ourselves and our customers to show where those things line up, right? So go ahead and fill in some of these things for your customer, your person that you were thinking of originally, knowing their age and their gender and all that kind of stuff, but also write down some of these things as well while I wait for this video to finish converting. All right, let me pull you guys back up here so I can see everyone. Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you guys so much again for being here and for participating. So I really appreciate it. All right, so what we're going to do next is we're going to look at your psychographic, your demographic, and we're going to say, which of these does it fits the person you created when you're writing all these things down. Which one fits that? Are they the buyer, the purchaser? Are they the end user or the consumer? Or are they the referral partner? Now, sometimes the buyer and the end user consumer are the same thing. And to your question, I'm going to be giving out a link towards the end. And if you'd like, I'll just put it in here now just so you can see it. And if you go to this link, you'll be able to get an email with everything in for the training, the video, and then the training bundle as well. So think about your person that you've created. Is this the buyer, the purchaser, or the end user, the consumer? The reason that I have them separated, and you might think, well, they're the same person, but if you're selling, for example, a toy may actually be the buyer, the purchaser is the parent or the grandparent, right? And the end user consumer is the child. So now you have to not only appeal to one person during your marketing, you have to appeal to two. So you have to be considerate of that as you look at this and as you promote things through your social media. If you are the buyer purchaser and then your end user is someone completely different, and you're promoting just to the buyer purchaser on price or whatnot, and you're not looking at the end user consumer who's also going to see this information, then you could be missing out on a huge opportunity in your social posts. And also more content, which makes it a little easier to create content. So think about if your person is a split person where you have two people within, where someone's going to buy and someone's going to use, or if you have them and they're the same person For example, my customers are the same person. They're actually, all three of these people are one person. My buyer and my end user and my referral partner are all my client that comes to me to work with me, because they're going to buy it, they're going to use it themselves, and then my service themselves, and then they're going to refer my service out to others. So sometimes they'll be different, sometimes they'll be the same. Okay. Will your target market benefit from social media posts? Now, if you're looking to connect with C-suite individuals, or excuse me, with maybe people who are of an advanced age, social media probably isn't actually going to work for them. Not very much. You could have a social media presence, but it's not going to be something where you're going to go, got to have a social media presence, it's going to be the best, because they're not going to be on social media. It's not going to be one of your main vehicles for communication. So what we want to look at instead is, what other alternative means of marketing would we use for those people? So social media may not work for those groups. Will they use social media to share your brand? Now, this means that every post you put out has to be branded and pretty much has to have your logo on it. Because if your people are sharers, and that's the way your demographic is going to be, then you're going to want them to be able to share your stuff the way that you want it shared. So keep that in mind as we're going through and we're going to be creating some social media posts. The other thing is, can you reach them with your message effectively on social media? With millennials and with Gen Zers, you're not going to be able to really reach them with your message effectively on social. They're going to be, looking at things from a different perspective. They're going to say, well, social media isn't my main communication method. I'd rather use something else. I'd rather be told by a friend rather than, see a post. And so your message might not be effective for them in that regard. But like I said, you got all these different questions, these 3 questions that are going to help you to evaluate, is social media the right thing for you? Now, all the things that I've said, they're going to be probably on the negative side. Like, will your social media benefit C-suite? Probably not. Elderly? Probably not. Can I reach them with my message effectively? Gen Zers? Probably not. People who aren't even on social media, they won't get your message because they're not there. So that's not a great way. But the reason I'm kind of pointing out the negatives is because a lot of people think, well, I have to use social media because I have to use social media. And that's just not the case. You don't have to do anything. And I actually taught a class at UNF a couple of years ago. It's going on like 10 years now. And this woman was taking my class. It was for Ollie Lifelong Learning Program. And she just stood up literally in the middle of the class. And she said, I don't want to learn Facebook. And I said, okay, you don't have to. And she's like, but my kids tell me I have to. And my grandkids tell me they want me on there. And I said, well, you don't have to. And she's like, well, they tell me I have to. And I said, no, you don't have to. So she was like really relieved actually that she didn't have to do it. But the thing is that, she thought she had to, and in her mind she had to, but in reality she didn't. So I'm telling you guys the same thing. Like, you really don't have to if you don't want to. All right. So let me just pull something up here. Okay. Here we go. All right. So let me go to the next slide here. All right. So now we've talked about all this stuff. How does this actually relate to social media? Well, let me tell you. Oh, that's not what I wanted. There we go. What is social media to you? And how do you currently use it? Okay, so we talked about before, like what was annoying with social media, and I hope we've covered some of those things so far. Not all of them yet, but we're getting there. But how do you actually use social media right now? So put in the chat, tell me, how do you use social media? And then tell me what you think you should use it for. All right, so maybe put those together. I use it for this, and I think I should use it this way, or in this way, or for this reason. All right, so updates for sharing information, get informed and entertainment. Haven't used it for your business yet, just personally. Plan to use it for branding and advertising, connecting to the audience. Okay. So let's see. Generate sales, connect with the audience. Okay. This is usually what people think social media should be for. But in reality, there's one reason for social media. And there's only one answer to this. I want you to think about, and this is for business, okay? I want you to think about, where do your sales happen? Where do your sales happen? Tell me in the chat, where do your sales happen? Exactly, where do your sales happen? Yes, online, Kevin. Where exactly do your sales happen? Are they on Facebook? Do they happen in Messenger? Do they happen in email? Do they happen in your website? Where do your sales happen? Like, where does that point of, I've made the decision, we're going to do this, happen? All right, got some really good answers. I'm going to show it to you now. I'm going to reveal their main answer. Are you ready? All right, here goes. The main reason for social media is to drive traffic to your website. Because your website, you guys, most of you guys got it right. Even Amazon, if Amazon is what you're using as your website, that's great. That is where the sale happens. No one purchases, and you could argue this with me, but we won't for now. Your sales do not happen on Facebook, on Instagram, on Pinterest. If you go to Pinterest and you click on a link to buy something, where does it take you? Their website. Because you don't put your credit card into Pinterest. You don't put your credit card into Instagram, right? You might, okay, like I said, you could argue this with me. We could get into semantics of in-browser shopping and stuff like that, or in-app shopping. But really, in essence, for the purposes of what I'm trying to convey here, it happens on the website. So, you're not selling a product, you are the brand. Technically, I guess maybe emails, partnerships. So no, Andrea, tell me exactly what you're doing, what you do again. Just put it in the chat real quick. So what she's saying is that she's not selling a product. Well, not everyone sells a product. Everyone sells maybe a service or sort of a product. It doesn't have to like, I don't sell a product on my website. You cannot go to my website and put your credit card in and buy something. It doesn't happen. But you do make the decision to have a call with me on my website. You do make the decision to fill in a form and connect with me on the website. Lifestyle influencer and model. Yes, but your sale will happen through your website. The sale would be someone connecting you, someone connecting with you, someone saying, hey, I want you to be an influencer for me. Someone saying, hey, I have a job I want you to do, be a model for, whatever, right? So you are still having sales happen through your website, because what happens with social media is it's very fleeting. We talked about that at the beginning. It has a lot of connotations to it as well. So that means that it's going to be transient, right? Or transient, is that the word? Where it's fleeting. It's just there for a moment and gone. And so none of your portfolio or your past work or your story or photos of you or photos of your business or, videos that you've done or information that you want to share with someone, or like for me, my podcast, my speaking information. What else is on there? How my process works. All of that stuff can't just be shoved into social media. It has to have a place to live. And it has to have a place to live because while I may mention that I have a podcast on social media, how do you listen to it? How do you view it? How do you see it? You have to go back to the website, or you're taken to a website. Why not yours, right? There are websites for podcasts, that are out there that I could just have a podcast website. I don't have to, I might pay for it, but I don't have to have my own website. But why would I drive traffic to someone else's website? Why not my own? So there's ways of doing all that. And I don't want to get into a whole website discussion, but I want to show the point that when you create something on social media, when I tell someone, hey, we can create all your social media in a day, then they're like, okay, well, how does that work? Am I going to explain it in an entire post that's 3 pages long? No. Am I going to be able to effectively convey that message in a social media post that's only going to live for about 90 minutes in a feed? No, then it's gone. Now it's still in my feed, right? But who's going to scroll through my feed and read every single post I've posted in the last 2 years? No one. That's where all my good content would be then, right? Because a lot of people are, I just use social media. That's all I need. Then that's where all your content is. And then guess what? Facebook owns all of it. And that's not cool. So what you want to do is have your own site so that when you say something on social media, you got backup for it. You can say, go to this website. This page has everything you need to know on it. Okay. I really want you to drive home that point, is that when you do stuff for social media, it should be short, it should be sweet, and it should be redirecting me to the website, your website. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about your website a little bit more. How do you feel about it? Does it convey your message effectively? Does it have the look and feel you want to present as a brand? And the reason I talked about branding first, the reason I'm talking about website right now, is because I believe that social media is that third piece. It's that third pillar. If your brand isn't right, your social media posts will look wrong. If your website isn't right, your social media posts won't have anywhere to go, if that makes sense. They won't have anywhere for people to really explore what you do. So tell me in the chat, how do you feel about it? And if you can stay till the end, if we have a few minutes at the end, I will actually do a couple live website audits if you guys are interested. I don't typically do it, but if you're interested, I can. But I want to do this first, obviously, and get through this part of it. But if we have a few minutes at the end, I will go back and do that if you guys want. So how do you feel about your website? Does it convey your message? And does it have the look and feel you want to present as a brand? Anybody else have any thoughts they want to throw out there on that? Yeah, I know it can be a little of a struggle. I totally get you. And we always feel like we're messing with it, right? Yeah, Joe, need a better website. So again, I want you to hold off on posting a bunch of stuff on social until we get that brand solid and that website solid, right? We want to get those two pieces, because social is going to point back to all of that, and we can't have it just be hanging out there with not great branding and not great website. Yeah, going backwards. Yeah, sometimes that happens. We start in the middle. Love your website. Okay. All right. So let's move to the next part here. You should be using social media for what you're already doing and what you're already good at. What a novel idea. We actually do things on a daily basis that our customers love, that we love, and we should be doing that. On social media. We don't need to just be doing it in person. So if there's things that we're doing for our customers, maybe we're creating something for our customers that we just think takes 5 minutes, no big deal. Maybe we're honoring veterans in our company, and we could post a picture about that. Maybe we, whatever it is that you're doing on a daily basis. I've had people post, pictures of their Zoom meetings like this, like they'll post a screenshot of this and they'll say, look, we did this session or whatever. Like, I'm doing this on a daily basis. I don't think it's anything super crazy spectacular. I mean, I think it's awesome because I love doing it, but it's not like I'm being a rock star or anything, but it's something I could screenshot and post. And it would be definitely something that would be resonate with my audience because they're in the same boat you are. They're here to learn about marketing, and they would be like, wow, she's doing that for other people. That's awesome. So sharing something that you're already doing, that's another piece of content. It's another post. You don't have to always reinvent things. If you're going to events, if you're speaking online, if you're doing summits, if you're attending events, even people that attend events just post their pictures from these events or online events even. So there's lots of content that you have, and we just need to be looking at what am I doing on my daily calendar that I could actually be using as social media content, because then it's just second nature. You don't have to think extra about it. So let's look at how many you should actually be using of these social accounts. How many of you guys think you should be using? How many? Anybody? 3. Okay, that's a good number. I like 3. 2 to 3. Yeah. 4. Targeting different demos. That's a hard one. I bet you're not, but you might be, but I can almost guarantee you're probably not. You just think you are. Depends on your audience. Hard to say. Okay, I'm going to tell you the answer. It's 2 to 3. The reason it's 2 to 3 is because the social medias you're probably using are probably not the right ones, or you're trying to shove things into are probably not the right ones. And so what I'm going to do is show you that there are 2 or 3 for you, for your demographic, and you only should focus on those 2 or 3, because the other ones, even if they slightly fall into your demographic, it's still going to be too much. Like, we can only do so much as humans, and this is going to be the perfect amount of 2 or 3. And it's going to fit. You want to capture the attention of the right people, not all the people, right? You want to just capture the attention of the right people. So there's a couple of these that are seeming on the edge for you, and it bumps you up to 4 or 5. Knock them off if they're on the edge, right? Keep only the core ones at your 2 or 3 level. So let's look at these. This is Facebook and YouTube. Now, this stuff that I'm showing you, these graphics that I created, they are actually in the system. The training bundle that I gave you link to earlier. So I'm going to put that link later as well. So keep an eye for that. But this is all in there, so you don't have to screenshot it if you don't want to. But this is in an ebook that I wrote, and it is current updated information. So Facebook, more men than women. I'm sorry, more women than men. More women than men. Is that your demographic, women? Best to reach older millennials, Gen X, and boomers. So that's pretty much 35 plus, 30, 35 plus. 75% of users spend 20 minutes or more a day on Facebook. The half-life of a post. Now, I actually want to describe what a half-life is really quickly. Half-life means that your post lives this long on a feed. It means that when you put your post out there, it's 9:30 or 10:30 right now. It will only live until, so it's 10:34. It will only live till about 11:02, 11:03. If I posted it right now, it would be in people's feeds for that long, and then it would disappear because more posts would fill their feeds faster, and those posts only live for about 30 minutes. Now, if you see a post in your feed and it says posted 6 hours ago, someone has commented on it recently. There have been likes or loves or whatever emojis put on it recently, and those algorithms are different. Those live a little bit longer once they get engagement. But in order to get engagement, they have to be seen And in order to be seen, they only live about 30 minutes. If you're spending more than 30 minutes on a Facebook post, you are wasting your time. If you're spending more than 10 minutes on a Facebook post, you're wasting your time because they don't live very long. So keep that in mind. If you choose Facebook, remember 30 plus in age, because it goes all the way to 65, 75, etc. 30 plus in age, 20 minutes a day on Facebook for the majority, and it only lives 30 minutes. So keep that in mind if that's when you're going to use. Now let's look at YouTube. More men than women. Reaches more 18 to 49-year-olds than cable. Most people have YouTube TV now. So it's actually like Hulu or Netflix. It's called YouTube TV. And they have a lot of the major carriers. Essentially, YouTube found a way to be cable, but not be cable. So that's what they're doing. Second largest search engine next to Google. And hold on one second. This is that's the thing. That's correct. You clicked on the right one, Cherry. Second largest search engine next to Google, because Google's number one, and Google actually owns they own YouTube. So it's all part of the same system. And the half-life of a post is 6 days. Okay, so for 6 days, Sherry, if you just look in your spam, it might have gone there, but just give it a few minutes. It'll probably send it to you in just a moment. So the half-life of a post is 6 days. And that may sound like a great number, like, wow, that's a long time, 30 minutes, 6 days. But 6 days in the YouTube feeds. And if you've ever gone on YouTube, if you see one video and then you go back for it later, it's not there because there are so many videos being uploaded to YouTube every single day. And depending on who you follow, you may or may not see their videos. And if you do follow them, you'd have to know that they exist to follow them. So it's very rare that you're going to be popped up randomly in a feed, in a search. But it will live in feeds for about 6 days. So it's a little bit of a tricky one. I don't highly recommend YouTube only because they also have some issues with owning your content over you. Yes, they can suppress the videos depending on the topics. True. So I actually like Vimeo better. I prefer that, but if you want to use YouTube as a means of being out there more, because it does get you out there a little bit more, you're welcome to do that as well. These are the demographics for that. Instagram and Twitter. Instagram, majority women. 70% of users are under the age of 35. Users follow brands rather than people. Kim Kardashian is not a person, she's a brand. Half-life of a post is 19 hours, so about a day. Excuse me. And majority of men are on Twitter. 50% of them never even post, they lurk. And users spend 2.7 minutes a day on Twitter. Half-life of a post is 21 minutes because most news outlets use Twitter very heavily, and they are constantly posting information. And they actually make up a majority of the posts on Twitter because about 50% of their users never actually post. And we've all seen the information about Twitter bots and things like that. They are real. Some of the claims of what they do may or may not be completely accurate or whatnot, but the Twitter bots do exist, and that's where that 50% of users come in that do not post. So, but 2.7 minutes a day is the average user time. So definitely keep that in mind as well, that your post will not live very long there, and that only if you have an actual following on Twitter, or you are in a political or that type of news type space, that it would be beneficial to be there. And I also think it's kind of funny that Instagram is mostly women and Twitter is mostly men. Instagram is all photos and Twitter is all short text, like get to the point, tell me the story, end of it, like 240 characters, you're done. And I thought that was a very interesting thing that Instagram and Twitter kind of automatically gendered themselves with pink and blue and everything. It's kind of like, oh, that's very how very typical of you guys. So I thought that was kind of funny. All right, let's go here to Pinterest, and we have Pinterest is majority women, which we kind of already figured that. Their ages range from 18 to 69, 10% more likely to purchase if it's through a Pinterest link. Half-life of a post is 3.5 months, which is 151,000 hours. So if you are not using Pinterest and you have a certain type of business, whether it's a product business, some service businesses, if you're international or national, if you have the national option. So for me, I could use Pinterest because I can work anywhere in, the country. I could work anywhere in the world. I'm not bound by any kind of geographic system. Whereas I noticed somebody mentioned loans and VA loans and things like that. In that case, you'd be bound by where your licensure is and things like that. And so you could always refer out, obviously, but in most cases, you're going to be bound by those things. And so you'd be a little bit less likely to use Pinterest, I would say, unless it's information you want to go more national. And then and also products are very, very popular on Pinterest as well. Lifestyle brands, the model, I definitely think she should be on Pinterest. LinkedIn is evenly men and women. And most of the users actually don't have social media accounts other than LinkedIn. They're not using them outside of that. So it's better if you're using LinkedIn and you're trying to connect with people on LinkedIn. That's kind of where you're going to catch them. You're not really going to catch them on Facebook. You're not going to catch them on Twitter. They're pretty much, in LinkedIn is their thing. And they're probably using it for work. Your post lives about 24 hours. And most people make over 75,000 because it is more of a professional space. People have degrees, etc. So consider these things when you're actually choosing your social medias. And does anybody have any questions or any, anything to mention or anything that surprised them about which social medias that they should be on? Did you guys pick 2 or 3? YouTube and LinkedIn more. I would agree with you. LinkedIn has become a personal posting swamp. There is that to a degree, but you have to know how to use LinkedIn. LinkedIn, when we talk about posting and what to post and when to post in a few minutes here, LinkedIn is, you want to have a specific presence on LinkedIn, right? So you want to be posting on a regular basis, but that's not what LinkedIn is for, right? LinkedIn is for actually connecting with people. Now, I know you've probably all gotten those spam messages through LinkedIn and you've been really annoyed with them, and then it just turns you off of the whole thing. However, LinkedIn does have a huge population of people who are there for the right reasons. And if you just ignore or report or whatever, the people who are spamming, you can actually make connections with people that are true, legit, and actually find, great resources on LinkedIn. I was on 100 podcasts last year between March and December. I was about 120. And the way that I actually got on a few of them was I heard someone, their podcast. I was like, this is great. Couldn't find any way to contact them through their podcast. So I found them on LinkedIn, knew that I had heard the episode, picked something out about that specific episode that I really liked, and that really impressed me, and then wrote them a message on LinkedIn and started with just that. I heard your podcast. I heard this episode. These were the specifics. This is what I liked. This is what I thought was interesting. This is what stuck out to me. Can you tell me more about your guest? Can you, tell me when you got started in podcasting? I don't know, whatever, right? So I really found something that can pertain to them and directly commented to them and wrote a message to them about them. And then from there, I had my ask in the background. I wasn't going to ask right away, like, hey, I want to be on your podcast, right? I had my ask in the background. And when they responded and they were like, wow, you're a real person, you actually are wanting to know about me, I was able to then have a conversation with them in which I asked them if I could be on their podcast. And in most of those cases, I would say probably like 9 out of 10 of those cases, I got on. Because I was starting with a real reason to contact them. And so what people would say to me was, I saw some of your posts. I've seen your posts before. I've seen your green dress before. I've seen this before. And it's because I have a consistent LinkedIn strategy. I have consistent LinkedIn posting. And they may have seen it and glanced at it, or just saw it in a feed and just scrolled right past it. But then when I actually messaged that person and I reached out directly, or they heard about me from someone else, their brain put the two images together and was like, wait, this is the same. I need to remember this. Oh yeah, I've seen this before, right? So even though it may have been in passing originally, the posts may seem like they're not really doing anything, they're not going anywhere. This is what all of social media is for. It's to be there, to go into someone's brain and out the other ear, right? It goes in one ear and out the other, in one eye and out the other. And then later, when they get an email from you, when they see you on Buzz TV, when they see something you're promoting, UNF's promoting, you're speaking, like whatever it is, then their brain will put the two things together and go, we've seen this before. We remember this. And it could be a good connotation, it could be a bad connotation. It doesn't really matter at that point. It means that they've actually made the connection. Their brain has made that connection. So with LinkedIn, with really any of these, most of them are going to be, you have a consistent strategy. You're posting, not about personal stuff, about business, do it right? But you're really wanting to make that connection for later. You're planting that seed now for later connection. All right. So here are some things that you could be posting. We talked a little bit about this. What do you do on a daily basis? What do you love to do in your business? What do your customers love that you do? And what are some of your most frequently asked questions? These are some of the best social posts you can put out are FAQs, because it could be a did you know? You could just make it a question and then you answer it. And then you want to link back to your FAQ page where that question actually lives. If you don't have an FAQ page on your website, you probably need one. So look at these things, and we're going to add to this as well. Let me see what the next slide is here. Yes. Okay. So look at these things. I want you to write down a few, one or two for each, maybe 2 or 3 for the last one. I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. Excuse me. And we're going to go ahead and start making some posts. And we're also going to start creating our schedule. Okay. So now that we know the types of things the types of people that we're trying to reach, now let's start putting out the stuff that they're actually going to respond to. And that's going to make that actual connection. Okay. So we're going to move on to the next section. And this is the research part. Now, when we create our schedule, we're going to create a 7-day schedule. And you do not have to fill in all 7 days. Most of the time, I recommend that my clients fill in 3 days of consistency. And this is because we will have other days of consistency, such as if you have a podcast that will auto post. If you have a blog, that should be auto posting. And if you have events, those should also be auto posting. So, but we're going to look at some days that we can fill in, that we have 3 consistent days. Now, holidays are going to be sporadic as well. So these won't be on specific dates or, just Wednesdays or anything like that. But we can look at the holidays and actually pull the ones that actually make sense for our business. There are a ton of holidays out there. Just gobs and gobs and gobs of them. But what we can do is we can actually just pull the ones that pertain to our industry, our business. Like there's, branding day and website day and redhead day, like those kind of things. And then, of course, if we want to pull major holidays as well, Christmas, Mother's Day, Thanksgiving, things like that. And we can actually just look at a calendar. You can go on Google and there's tons of links to these. I have some links to these in the toolkit, the training bundle that I sent you guys earlier, which I'll post again later today. So this is the easy stuff, right? We can just go and find a bunch of holidays. That's going to fill our calendar in really nicely. What about special occasions? Maybe it's the anniversary when you opened your business. Maybe it's your birthday, your staff birthdays. Maybe it's a milestone you reached. Maybe it's when you won an award. Maybe it's when your book was released. All of those things are milestones or special occasions. Sorry about that. And those can actually be posts as well. And these can be annual posts. You can post the same thing every year. Known events would be trade shows, fundraisers, annual events, conferences you're speaking at, things like that, where it's coming up ahead of time and we can fill those in now. If you're not sure what they are ahead of time and they kind of pop up randomly, or they come up, after you've already done your full, 1 year of social media, these can always be added in later at any time. Don't worry about it having too many of these. But if you already know some of them, let's just pop them in now. And then days of the week. This is my favorite one. So let's say you're going to do 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever that is. And you have some holidays. They're kind of sporadic. Your special occasions are sporadic. And then your known events are kind of sporadic. Maybe you actually want to put in some sales posts, which I recommend. Maybe you want to put in some like FAQ type, FAQ type posts, right? Which we talked about a little earlier. Maybe you want to put in something like, every Friday we're going to do a fun quote or something like that. Any of these types of things can be really, really easy to do. Like Tech Tuesday, I'm going to do a tech tip every Tuesday. I had a girl who was a wedding planner, and she did a flower every Friday, a flower that was blooming in that month. She just posted it every Friday. And it helped the brides who were looking up for a year in advance about their weddings that, oh my gosh, this is blooming in May and that's when our wedding is. I want to have these flowers or whatever. So you can pick things from your industry. You can pick things that are, relevant to your business. I like the tip idea because it gives a really good weekly or, monthly. Yeah, I would say weekly is probably better, but you could do it monthly if you wanted. But, having something where you give something away every week saying this is from me to you, something you can use right now. It doesn't have to be, worth $100,000 or anything, but it's a tip that could really save somebody some money, some time, or some just mental strain. So, doing tips is great. Doing a sales post every week is great. And also doing some kind of fun or, more fluffy type post is good too. So when I do the 3 days, I like to do, like I said, sales, fluff, and some kind of tip or something like that. So I want you guys to go to the next one here really quick, I think. Okay, let me go back a second. When we're looking at this, just as we're writing things, we might have images that come to mind or things we want to think to put an image with it. Just make sure that you're pulling the right images for your brand. You don't want to pull the wrong ones because it could make your, like we talked about earlier with your branding, it might be like, well, that doesn't look like them or that looks weird. Throw your branding off. All right. So I like to usually use a spreadsheet or a Google Doc. So if you have that, pull that up, and we're going to start writing some posts now. And then I like to just Google for holidays. And you can like holidays for, medical assistants, or holidays for, admin assistants, or holidays for, just random things. You can put holidays for food related holidays, right? You can put all kinds of things in Google and find these lists of holidays. Like I said, I have some for you in the training bundle, and you can always find more and add more as you go through. And then we're going to plan our week, create our graphics, and schedule our posts. So this is the plan your week tile here. And like I said, I like to pick 3 days. And I like to use this type of a system like Monday, Tuesday, and write everything out. Okay. And then let's say on Mondays, I want this to be my fluff post, because people are really busy on Mondays and they're kind of sluggish and they're not really paying attention. They're trying to get things going for the week. So I might make Monday my fluff post. So I'd write fluff under Monday. And then Tuesday, I don't know, maybe I'll do, maybe I won't do anything on Monday. Maybe I'll do my fluff post on Thursday, and I'll do my sales post on Wednesday, and I'll do my tip on Tuesday, or something like that. So I'll kind of write a little note for each of the days so I know what my calendar looks like, right? So my quote unquote calendar, I know what that looks like. So I'll just make sure I know what my Tuesdays are going to look like, my Wednesdays, etc. And then in my spreadsheet or even in my Google Doc, I'll just start putting the dates in. And you can actually find, type in dates for 2021. And let's see here. We can do, oops. There is there's one I use. I haven't used this one in a while. Oh, these are the holiday ones. But you can find, oh, I know what it is. Hold on a second. So let's say we're going to do Tuesdays. We can say, what are the Tuesdays in 2021? Here they all are. And they're a nice little list. So I can just select and copy this. I just typed in Tuesdays 2021 in Google. And this is what it gave me. These are all the Tuesdays in 2021. So I would just put this in my Word document or my spreadsheet, and I would just start typing things next to each one of them and saying, okay, well, we're already into March. So the 16th is next week. So I might start with this Tuesday, right? And go all the way to December. And if I wanted to fill in, through March of next year as well, then I would just go Tuesdays in 2022 and pull the first few weeks or something. Excuse me. So when you do that, you just go to, I'll just put this in here for you guys. It's really simple. Then you'll just find these Tuesdays, put them in your spreadsheet or in your Google Doc or Word doc, and just type next to it. Okay, I'm going to put a quote about this. I'm going to put, let's say this is your quotes or your tip Tuesday, right? So then I would just start writing maybe a note about each tip that I'm going to say, right? I might just go through them all really quickly. I'm going to do one about branding. That's branding and colors. I'm going to do one about branding and fonts. I'm going to do one about branding and, collateral pieces. I might group them all together. Then I might say, you know what? I'm putting all these branding ones together. Maybe I'll put one branding one in March, one branding one in May, and one branding one in July. So I can spread them out. Then I'll go back and see what's left. Okay, now we got some more March left. Let's do a website one in March, a website one in April, a website one in June. And just kind of start randomizing them. You don't have to be super crazy with it. If you get 2 or 3 together that are kind of similar, separate them, move things around. You'll have the opportunity to do that if you're using an online document, makes it, or a computer document, makes it easier than handwriting it. So just fill in your calendar with all those tips and then do the same thing with Wednesdays and Thursdays or whatever days you're using. So that's why I like to make this calendar first, which tells me I'm using Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? Then I look for Mondays in 2021, Tuesdays in 2021, etc. And then I just start filling in my calendar. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up for you so you can kind of see what I mean. I'm going to do a little sample of one. So I'm going to pull my Tuesdays for 2021 and I'm going to put this in here. And you guys can be doing this along with me if you want, or working on your own side. This is my tip Tuesdays. All right, I'm going to make this a little bigger. And we're going to make it a different color. All right. Here we go. All right, tip Tuesdays. Those are my Tuesdays. Now what I'm going to do is put I have 5 days, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go down to the 6th one. All right, so you see what I'm doing here? I'm giving some lines some space, right? That's because I have 5 things I talk about. So I'm saying website, and then I'm saying homepage, and then I'll say website about, and then website FAQ, website contact. Now, I'm almost done with I've got a few things here, but I'm not going to have too many of these, right? I might have 1, 2, 3, 4 things each. Okay. That doesn't get me very far into the year, but let me show you what I'm going to do with this. So this one was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to actually repeat these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 again. This is like let's say this is a series. Okay. So I did fonts and do business card and then rack card. You can repeat the same series in the year 2 times or 3 times or 5 times even. Okay. You are not stuck by saying, well, I already talked about the website homepage. Why would I talk about it again? Well, because the people that were in your, that had you in their feed in the beginning of the year are not the same people that have you in their feed now. These are all new people. You may have met them recently. They may have just heard about you, whatever the case may be, right? So I could literally repeat this. I could write this for four tips about branding, 4 tips about websites, 4 tips about social media, 4 tips about email marketing, and 4 tips about blog. If I write 4 tips about each of those, then I can repeat those tips. That's 20 posts. There are 52 weeks in a year. Okay. And let's say I wanted to go back and get my 2022 Tuesdays here just to fill in for the rest of this year. Okay. So people think that you can't repurpose stuff or you can't repost stuff. Oh, it annoys me to no end, because you can. Not everyone's going to see all this stuff. And with your posts living 30 minutes on Facebook, I mean, good grief, someone may never see your posts. So adding these in over and over is not a big deal. I can tell you right now that 50% of what I post is reposted more than 1 time a year, more than 2 times a year in some cases. Because after 6 weeks, people forget what you posted. It's totally true. And if you look at this, if you've ever seen any of my social media stuff, if you see a repeated post and you know it's repeated and it's my stuff, do you know what that only does? It only serves to remind you, oh yeah, I remember she said that. Oh yeah, I've got to work on that. Oh yeah, I got to do that. It's not annoying to you going, oh, can't this girl think of something else? I've already seen this stuff, right? That's not what you think. That's not what your brain connects to. It connects to, I didn't take action on that. Why didn't I take action on that? How can I be better at this? How can I move forward? How can I utilize this information better? So even if you see a post repeated, you're not going to think of it as, oh, why can't they come up with new content? You're going to think of it as, oh, I need to take action on that. And if your posts are actionable, then that's going to be helpful, right? It's going to help to not let people go, I've already seen that. I've already seen that. I've already seen that. So for example, this is my Tuesday, right? So then after I do my Tuesday, I'll say Wednesday. All right, now I'm going to do my Wednesdays and 2021. So here they are. I'm going to get to the March 10th. So I'm going to put this back in here for my Wednesdays. Okay. And let's say our Wednesday is our sales Wednesday. Okay. And I'm just going to show you Friday as well, just so that we have it in here. And then I'm just going to put my Fridays in. Okay. Now, when we do a fluff post, And we do not repeat fluff posts. I'm just going to let you know. It's the only thing I don't repeat. Because a fluff post, people remember. And they remember it exactly as it was. And there's no action on a fluff post. So if you put a quote out there, chances are people are going to have seen that quote already somewhere else. And then you post it, unless it's your own quote, I wouldn't repeat it. If it's your own quote, repeat the heck out of it. That's great. But if it's not your own post, don't repeat it all the time. Just put it out there. One and done is good. Moving on. There are a million quotes. You will never run out of content. Don't worry about that. And when we think of this, if we look at our Tuesdays here, this is 52 weeks. So instead of us having to write 52 pieces of content for tips, I can write 20 pieces of content and repeat it twice and a half, right? And even in this case, I might skip these 3 weeks right here. So I might actually not have anything for those 3 weeks. I might actually move it down because this is all Christmas and New Year's, and I'm not going to post anything there because it's like a no man's land. So I can still write up my posts and still have them repeat 2 or 3 times. Right? So 20, creating 20 of something is not too bad. You can create that, repeat it twice, done, right? When you do your sales posts, I only recommend creating about 1 to 2 for each product. So if you only have 3 products, you might want to create three posts for each product and then repeat, because you're still selling the same thing even into the next year. So thank you, Kevin. I think so too. And then if you have 10 products, 1 post per is plenty. If you have, like I have 5 products, which is my days, right? And I have 3 additional pieces of that. So I have 10 total, and then I have coaching on top of that. So I have 10 actual days that you could book, 10 different types of days. I'm sorry. Let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8 types of days, plus coaching, plus speaking. That's 10 total items, right? So I only need 1 post per. Now, if I want to show more of my 5 days rather than my other pieces like the coaching and the speaking, I just repeat those over. I don't have to repeat the coaching and speaking as much. I can just repeat the 5 days more. So I say 1 to 3 posts per product. And I say product or service. They're interchangeable. It doesn't matter what you have. Now, if you have like an Amazon store we talked about earlier, and you have like 1,000 products or 500 products or something like that, obviously you'd want to create sales posts around, here's our special wish list for new moms, right? And then you have all of your new mom stuff together for babies and moms. And then you might have, here's our special, Father's Day is coming up. Here's our special Father's Day wish list. And it has all the tools and stuff on it. So you might want to, collect your products together and then use sales around holidays or known events, right? If you have a ton of products, but if you have a couple of products, I'm going to say under 10, then I would definitely do 1 to 3 sales posts per product. If you have under 5, you need to do at least 3 per product. If you have under 3 to 10, then you can do a few less per product. Service-based business, marriage ministry. So the post I have been more educational. How can I post if I have a new target market, blended families? So your sales post, I would recommend, they can be educational, but you also want to sell. You got to still sell. And I would do your tips separately from your sales. And for the blended families, I would actually use that as one of your sales, like one of your products, if you will. So a product might be a marriage on the brink of divorce. A product might be a marriage who just is, people are having trouble communicating. A product might be blended families. A product might be families with children with special needs. Like, I don't know all of your, services, but you want to kind of break down and say that blended families would be a product. It'd be a type of service that you would provide, right? So then I would write sales posts around that. And I would also write tips around that. So for you, you might say that this particular week, let's say it's the week of, go in here, April 6th. So the Tuesday, my tip might be blended families, blended families tip, right? So we know that's April 6th. Then we come down to our Wednesday, April 7th for that same week. And we might say blended families sales post. And then for that week on our Friday, we might say, okay, on April 9th, I'm going to do a quote about blended families. Right? So then your whole week goes together. Now, this whole week can be repeated in June, in August, in November, right? You can repeat this week of posts that you've created in another time period as well. So what I would do is how many ever products you have, okay? And we talk about products in a different way. Don't just think you have to have a product you're selling, like a book, right? So your products, my products would be a branding day, a website day, a social media day, things like that. I have 10 of those different types of products. So then I would just count 10, and on the 11th space would be when I would put this again, okay? So I would go, this would be another product, 2, 3, 4, 5, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10 is the one we just looked at, 11. So this is going to be here again, because my other products are going to fill in here. So each week I could be focused on a different product, right? Because you could do it the way I mentioned up here before at the top, where I have, 6 things and I just keep repeating them for my tips. Or if you want to match your whole week across, then your quote is going to be about blended families, your sales post is going to be about blended families, and your tip is going to be about blended families. So your whole week is about blended families. So you can do it that way, or you can just kind of silo each one and say, I've got tips, I've got sales posts, and I've got fluff posts, quotes or whatever. And I'm just going to do each of them individually, and it's all going to relate to my same business, so they don't have to be coordinated. So hopefully that will help you and give you some insight. Awesome. So you can do it a couple different ways. But does this make it seem much easier for you? Does this seem like it's not as daunting? I hope so. Thank you for the thumbs up. How do you feel about posting regularity? For example, IG says 1 live, 5 reels, 3 static per week, etc. This is what I call your underlying consistency. This is your consistency, okay? So when we put up our stuff here, we're putting this into a scheduler, and I'm going to show you the schedule in just a minute. When we put this in a scheduler, this is going to run for us. Notice that we're only running for 3 days. We're not running every day. Your stuff will get lost whether you post 3 days a week or 7 days a week, okay? You do not have to post every single day manually, and you do not have to be on social media 24/7. The recommendations for these companies are so that you will fill their platform for them. The more you post, the more information they can give to their advertisers. I do not recommend sale or advertising through these systems either. I don't recommend buying ads. It is very detrimental to small business. It can waste a lot of money. I actually talked to an ads expert a couple of weeks ago. We were doing a podcast together, and excuse me, he told me, and I didn't bat an eyelash when he said it, because I already knew it was true. He said that if you don't have 15,000 to lose, don't do an ad. $15,000. If you don't have it to lose, don't even try ads, because that's what the going rate is right now to actually get traction with ads. Some people can get it with less, but it's very rare. So when it comes to posting consistency, I like to have an underlying 3 days, 4 days, something like that. When it comes to other posts, if you feel like it, do it. If you feel like every day you want to post, go ahead. That is totally up to you. The more you have, the merrier, right? The more posts you have, the more traction you'll get over time. But this is more to take this off your plate for now, so that you are not constantly sitting there going at the bottom of your to-do list, oh my gosh, I got to do that. Oh yeah, I forgot to post today. Oh yeah, I got to do that. I actually just watched a video about minimalism the other day. I've been on my own minimalism journey, and I promise this relates. But I've been doing this since last year. And one of the videos that I watched from someone that I follow on YouTube, she said, we have a silent to-do list. And everything that we own, whether it's a social media account, whether it's our business, whether it's tangible things like books and toys and, you know, kids' toys and computers and cords and microphones, all these things, right? If we own stuff, it's constantly telling us to do something. And I bet a lot of you had social media on your silent to-do list. It's constantly telling you, you got to post on me. You should be posting on me. Why aren't you posting on me? This isn't helping you. Why aren't you doing something? And that can really mentally strain us, like totally just make us so nervous and so uptight and so strained. I mean, I can't even tell you. I actually took all social media platforms except LinkedIn off my phone because it was giving me anxiety. I know it sounds silly, but it was. So I only use them on my computer now, and it's within a set time period because it's for business and it's for work. But when it comes to posting like every day or being on them every day and checking them and all these things, you can or you don't have to. Really, this system is to say, here's your consistency. If this is enough for you, then this is enough for you. If this is not enough for you and you need more, or your clients need more from you, they need more engagement, they need more whatever, then you need to do that. And that's just part of your job. That's part of your journey and your job for your business. Now, for me, when I create this system, I do it once a year. I set everything up for the entire year, and it's posting 3 to 5 times a week, depending on the week. And then as things happen, and this is the best part, as things happen and fun things come up, or I see someone post something and I want to share it, I just add more stuff, right? I just post it myself, or I reshare something, or it doesn't matter. I can just add when I feel like it. I'm not constantly under this silent to-do list of you gotta, right? Should our posts be the same across each platform, or is it better to have different posts on different platforms? I'll honestly tell you, I post them all to the same thing. So I have 2 or 3 platforms that I post on, and they're all the same posts that go out at the exact same time. And because they live in feeds in different time periods, it helps to kind of, it doesn't really randomize it. They all post at, 9 a.m. or whatever the time is, but it does help to show that some of them go away sooner, some of them are out there longer. So I literally just post them all out at the same time. All right, I'm going to go ahead and show you what system I use. And this is in, if you go to my website, go back here. If you go to my website and you go to the top, it says Get the Pro Toolkit. This is a separate thing. I will mention to you, if you do the link that I mentioned earlier, which is up at 10:56 a.m., you can see that link. I'll post it in here again. If you do this link right here, let me see if it'll paste. There we go. This is what you'll see. And this is because you attended today, you get this access. And this is definitely a huge value. I do sell this for quite a bit. But you'll get all of this information. So you'll actually be added to my membership as well. And the Pro Toolkit is right here in the membership. But if you want to get it really quickly, you can go to the top and you can sign up for the Pro Toolkit and you'll get it right away. The Pro Toolkit, whoops, I didn't type it in correctly. This is a list of all the tools that I use on a daily basis. Okay. And the one that I'm gonna mention for today is called, let's find it here, down here towards the bottom, Social Pilot. Okay. So this one right here, this is the one that I use every single day, and I'm going to show you it right here. This is my account. Okay. You can see what's queued. Now my husband has his accounts in here as well. You can have multiple businesses in one account, which I like. So I have Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram all posting through here. This is how many are queued. There's 245 in the queue for Facebook, 209 for Instagram, and 163 for Instagram, and 209 for LinkedIn. This is different numbers. Typically they're all the same, but recently I did some different things with my strategies for these, just trying to change it up, do some different stuff. Some of the stuff I wanted posted on Facebook and not LinkedIn, and just things like that. So I just was using some different strategies, but most of the time these are all the same. So let's go ahead and look at how easy it is to post. I'm going to go ahead and show you that really quickly. So you create you add your accounts. Obviously they'll be listed over here on the side, and we're going to put our branding tip on branding colors. This is a post that I just wrote. All right, and I'm actually going to post it. So I've written this post. Maybe I copied it and pasted it from my, my Google Doc here or something. This is my branding tip on branding colors. Color psychology is one of the most overlooked branding tools. It is imperative that you use it when choosing your branding colors. I'll say this can make the difference between a sale and a and losing customer life. So I have an ebook on this in my membership. So I put a link. Now, when you put a link in here, which I love about this system, it actually allows you to choose which photo you want that comes from that page of that system, or of that website. I like this picture, so I'll just leave it there. I want this to go to my 2 options here. Now, I could also post it to Instagram. If I post it to Instagram, I have to take off the link. So at the top here, you can see original, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I have to take off the link. So I have to say link in bio here. LinkedIn, the link is still there. Facebook, the link is still there. And then on Instagram, it's just pulling this photo. And actually, for Instagram, I'm going to add a different photo. I have an image that is like a GIF of my actual, oh, it won't let me add a GIF. Okay, that's fine. We'll just use this one. Well, use this one. Okay, so we'll use this picture. I'll go back to this one. All right. So you can, in this, you can also have your original. This is what Facebook looks like. And then this is LinkedIn. And then this is what Instagram looks like. It says link in bio, because it doesn't allow links. So you can actually edit and change them a little bit as you need to. And then I'll just go ahead and click. Okay, what are the questions here? Are the photos automatically resized? Yes, they are. So this is what it will look like on most of the platforms. You can actually see it's cropped a little bit. That's what it'll look like. This changes the game for me. Everything in one spot. Yes, isn't this amazing? By the way, you need to use the link that's on my Pro Toolkit because there's a discount, so don't forget. Does it work with Twitter? Yes, you can add tons of accounts. So let me just save this here. I'm going to schedule this post. I'm going to choose that I want it to go out tomorrow at 11:25. Sounds great. I'm also going to have it go out in June at 11:25 on the 13th. And I'm going to have it go out in October. All right. So I'm just putting this one post in, posting it 3 times. Ta-da. Done. Isn't that easy? Let me go to the accounts. These are all the accounts you can connect. You can connect Instagram for business or personal, TikTok, Google My Business, Pinterest, profile and page on LinkedIn, profile on Twitter, page and group on Facebook. So this is the most comprehensive one. Instagram does publish direct, so there's no app or anything you need. It does just automatically post for you. I do pay for this, but it is the best $25 a month that I spend. Honestly, it is. So definitely check out Social Pilot over Hootsuite or any of the other ones. This also has something which I really love called, it's called Feeds. And I actually have my blog posts that automatically post here for me and my podcast. And then I also have my portfolio and some press items that I use as blogs, but they're actually automatically set up to automatically post for me as well. It only allows you to post to Facebook business pages. And Facebook only allows you posting to pages and groups. And you don't want to be posting to a personal page because Facebook can ban you for doing business on a personal page. So you only want to use a business page. You want to try and get people to move over there and actually follow you there. If you're not sure how to get people to move from a personal to a business page, you can actually do like a contest. Everybody who moves this weekend to our, likes our business page this weekend, we're going to draw a name and give somebody a $10 Starbucks gift card or something. But you really shouldn't be doing business on a personal page. It's really not recommended. I don't recommend it. And the reason is because friends are not the same as follows. So I actually don't even, it's not even about the numbers. So if you have like 5,000 friends, you really don't. You really don't have 5,000 followers, right? And your stuff doesn't even show up all the way in their feeds just because you're their friend. Like people think, well, if they're my friend, then it's going to show up more in their feed. That's not true. The algorithms are different for that even. So, I recommend that you use a business page, and it's not about the numbers. So my numbers are around 6,000 in my across all my platforms. That's it, right? But I can honestly tell you that I'm making more money in the last 2 years than I've ever made, 2-3 years, and I've also got over 300 clients. So the 6,000 doesn't mean I don't need 100,000 to do what I'm doing, right? I don't need to have 1 million people following me. I'm doing just fine with 6,000. It's about the engagement of those 6,000. It's about which of those 6,000 are the message actually resonating with, and what am I doing to support this? So remember, we talked about this is the third pillar of 5. There are social media. Then you go to, email marketing and blogging. You have to have those as social proof as well, because you can't just have a great brand, a great website, and then a bunch of social media. You got to have something else that reaches people in a different way, that allows them to know you're knowledgeable, you have information you want to share with them, you're blogging, you're sharing your stories, your expertise. And then you have these emails that go out that say, hey, we're doing this, you should join us, or we're doing that, you need to come over here and watch us on this video, or we're on this podcast. Does that make sense? It's not just about social media. Yeah, today I'm trying to teach you that part of it, but we really need to look at it as social media is a part of our marketing. It's not all of our marketing. And I get very unpopular for saying this sometimes, but it really isn't. It's only 1/5 of what you should be focusing on. And when you really look at it as like 1/5, not even a quarter, 20%, not even 25%, just 20%, then you can really see how little you should be focusing on social media. Social media. That it shouldn't be your be all end all, because it isn't, and it never will be. And it won't be able to support what you think it should do. Excuse me. If you think that it's supposed to be everything and do everything for you and be all of your ROI. So, any questions on this part? Again, don't forget to try out and get the, if you go to the UNF Vets training link that I posted a few minutes ago, if you go there and you wait for your email. Also, when you get the success page, there's a link. You could just click that link and go right to it. If you wanted to go right in and sign up and get the tools, or you could just go to the website and click on Get the Pro Toolkit, and then you'll get it right away as well. And you'll have the option to sign up for Social Pilot with the discount. I love doing in-person sessions too, Andrea. But thank you. I accept your virtual hug. Yes, you can post directly on your platforms from Canva, but I don't recommend it. It's very labor intensive. So I definitely recommend, if you're going to use Canva, which I love Canva. Also, by the way, there is a bunch of Canva templates that I give you guys in this session as well, in the training bundle. So don't forget to get that and look through those. So, and by the way, only attendees got that. So I'm glad you're here, because only attendees got that. But yeah, I do love Canva, and I do like to use it. Actually, I just made something today for Canva, and I'll just show you. Here we go. There it is. So this is something I made. Somebody asked me to create a quote that I've said, and I created it for them so they could put it on their social media and share it out. No question can be stupid, because questions lead to learning, learning leads to knowledge. So this is something that I've said in a bunch of my classes, and I put it in a social post, basically like a graphic for them, saved it, and now I've sent it to them so they can put it on their social media. But this is the kind of like simple form. It's a photo in the background. It's a block with some text in it, my logo, and a little quote thing with my color in it, right? And if you look, let me move it over here. Let me go back to my homepage. You can see that the colors match, right? The colors match because it's branded. It's branded. Also in Canva, let me show you. You can, whoa, that's really big. Okay. You can actually create a brand kit in Canva. I recommend buying Canva and paying for it, honestly. They also do business cards. I don't know if you guys know that, but they actually do business cards, and they will actually print them for you. All of my business cards are printed through Canva. All of my rack cards, all of my clients' business cards and their rack cards, all printed through Canva. So let me show you here. Under brand kit, you can actually put in the colors with their exact numbers, so that you're not constantly trying to fumble around and trying to find your colors, right? You can also put your fonts in here. These are my fonts that I use that are for my brand. And then here you can also add logos. So I'll just do that really quick. I haven't done that yet. I don't know why, but here we go. There's my logo. Excuse me. There's my white logo. I'll put the gray one, or the black one in here, and the gray one. So those are all my logos that I have. And now they're part of my brand kit. Now, when I go to create a design, Instagram post, for example, and I pull a design. Now, when I click on this green, that's not my green. So I can say, it says Absolute Marketing right here. I can just click it. Now it's changed to my green. And this has a green background. Now it's changed to my green. And instead of this, the news, I can make this a little bigger. I can put my logo in here. Here it is. Put my white one in there. Whoops. Put this up right here and put that in. So now this is branded to me. Oh, this little guy's still the wrong green. There we go. And this font is not my font. So it says right here, recently used. There it is, brand fonts right there. Brand fonts. So I can just say Josephine Sands, or there we go. That looks better. Glacial Indifference looks good. We'll say this is Josephine Sands. That looks fine. And now we'll swap out the picture. Here's a picture of me. Perfect. Now I can put my name in here. Whoops, got the thing off a little bit. Let's type this in. See how easy this is? Doesn't have to be complicated, or you don't have to change everything too much. I can say best guest ever. So I could put a quote in here about being on 100 podcasts, or I could put my bio in here, my mini bio, right? So let's do that. Let's go to my website, go to my speaking page. Here's my mini bio. Copy that, go back to Canva, paste that in, fix the formatting a little bit. Let's fix this formatting. There we go. And we'll make my name bold. And then we'll make this bold here. There we go. And I just redid that entire thing in a few minutes. So, but I used my brand kit that's already built into Canva to make it go a lot quicker. I didn't have to worry about what color did I use and was it the right green and all that stuff. I could have also made this green box in the background. I could have made that my light green. It wouldn't be as effective with this, white one here, but I could have made this my light green, this background color here. This one. That looks pretty good. I like that. I could make this circle my tan. And now it looks completely different. But I like it actually better, don't you? I think it looks good. Okay. So then I would just save it. Always PNG. Don't need a transparent background. Ta-da! And sometimes it's just about playing with it. But I knew what my colors were, right? I wasn't fumbling around trying to figure out what colors were they or which ones should I use, et cetera, et cetera. So I might actually send this to my client that that wanted the quote, or I might send, where's the other one? I just saved it. There it is. This one. Right? So I could send either one of those and it would be just as good. So now I have two great posts. And it took me a few minutes because I already used something that was there, right? I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. This was one that was already in there. It was another template that they had, and I just changed the colors out. And then this one, whoops, this one was also a template that I just changed out the colors, put my stuff in, right? So, and that's something I already had written. I didn't have to write all that, right? So, yeah, once you change the copy, it's like so much easier. And then just change out the picture. Now, if you've not done a branding session, I would highly, highly recommend that you go to do a branding session. I recommend Julie Ryan Photography. She's local to Jacksonville, but if you ever get down this way, if you ever want to work with me and also work with her like the same week or something, specials, here we go. She just had her recent ones. She has 2 more coming up for March. I'm not sure of the dates, but she does this session, which is professional hair and makeup, 1 hour photo, multiple wardrobe changes, and then you get 2 images. Of course, she takes more than 2, and you can get more than 2, which is what I did. But it's for $350 to get 2 awesome images. It's like a no-brainer. So I would highly recommend that. She did my photos. She did these photos you see here. She did Revolution's photos. So she's just very good at what she does, and I would recommend having a branding session with someone, whether it's someone in your local area or somebody that that, because these photos that I had taken, they were actually taken honestly in 2016, so they're kind of old, but they look like me still, right? And the fact that people see these photos and they can recognize me, that's when I know my photos are still good. So someone asked me, how often should you update? If you've changed your hair drastically, you're going to want to update your photos. If someone can see your photo on LinkedIn or see it on your website, and then they actually see you in person, or they see you on a Zoom call and you look nothing like that person anymore, update them. Now, it doesn't mean that you're like, oh, I've gained weight or whatever. Oh, your hair changes daily? Oh no. Well, you're going to have maybe like 3 or 4 hairstyles that you switch between, and then have some photos with those. But it goes back to branding though. It goes back to branding. Like, what does your brand say? Does it say your hair is different every day? Or does it say that you have like 3 or 4 looks and that's your look, So when it comes to these, like if you're like, oh, I gained weight, I'm trying to lose weight, and then I'll have my photos taken. No, I don't agree with that, because at this point, honestly, and you can dispute me if you want, but in this photo here, and any of the photos of me, let's go to another page that has some different photos on it. There we go. I was 20 pounds heavier than I am now. And I wish I had my video on, but this darn thing won't work. But you guys saw me earlier this morning. I have lost 20 pounds since then. And the fact that she was so good at her job, that she was so good at her craft, I look just as good as I do now. Does that make sense? Like, if you get someone to do the photos correctly for you, it doesn't matter how much you weigh. It doesn't matter what you think you look like in your mind. You will look like you, and you will look like the person that other people see you as. And so I highly recommend that you get brand photos done, and that it looks like you. And if you pick somebody that's not going to do a good job, or that's not going to make it look like you, you're going to know. You're going to know immediately, because these are the only photos that I've ever had that I liked. We're all a little critical of ourselves, right? Even the guys. And so if we have a photo that even we like, that we know is a photo that we can use for a really long time. And if, let's say, my hair turns white tomorrow, I'd be going back to get me some new photos, because it would be the fact that I wouldn't be recognizable anymore. You might be able to, like, oh yeah, that's Elizabeth, her hair is white, but it wouldn't be really me anymore. This would be the old me. And whatever happens, maybe I cut my hair really short, and it's really short. Okay, then I need new photos. Maybe my hair grows out even longer. Man, that's probably not going to be as much of a big deal because it's pretty long there. But does that make sense? Like, whenever you have that major change, I've had people that have lost 100 pounds and they didn't change their photo. And I saw them and I was like, who is that person? And it was because they had lost so much weight. And then they were like, oh, I just haven't had time. They didn't put a priority on it. But when I saw them, I didn't even recognize them, which was kind of a good thing. Or even the person that's gained weight. It's not a big deal, because when you have a photo taken that's done well, then it's the way other people see you, and even you will like the photo. So I highly recommend them. I highly recommend Julie, but I highly recommend getting some photos taken that are going to be able to help you showcase your brand even better. All right. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to actually do a couple of, if you guys don't have any questions, and you guys are able to log into the the other link that I sent you. I only use the logo for branding. Does that matter? I'm not sure what you mean by only use the logo for branding. So explain to me what you mean there. I'm going to put this in the link again. There's this link here. Excuse me. Sorry about that. No personal pictures. Well, I would say that if you're a business where it's more than just you, obviously you can use different photos, but I would recommend at least having some branding photos. So for example, this website is an organization. It's a couple of people. We use some stock photos here, okay? And if you go to the team section, they both have their photos done. Or all three of them. Four of them? Yeah, four of them. So, and this group actually realized that their website was looking a little bland, and they wanted to actually bring in more of, when you actually come in the office, this is what you'll feel, this is what you'll experience, this is what you'll see. And they actually had their own branding photos done this week. So the site's going to be updated with photos of them in the office and them actually doing work and meeting with patients and things like that. So you can leave it where there's no personal photos except maybe on the Our Team page, which I highly recommend if you're not going to use personal photos anywhere else, or branded photos anywhere else. But I also recommend that this is a little bit too stark, if that makes sense. Like, it was good for the first little bit while she was getting going, but once she became established, it was better for her to actually, us to have her own photos that she put in here of her, of the staff, etc. So even if it's a nonprofit, this one here, this is a nonprofit here. This is a photo from one of their events. This is a photo from an event. Photo from an event, stock photo, right? So this is a photo that was made for them for their event, and this is a photo of an event. So these are both stock. So there's some mix here, but for the most part, they're using photos that are of things that they've already done. And I don't necessarily, I wouldn't say the pet photos would be the best idea, honestly, because if you're worried about security and about not putting things on social media, I would honestly tell you to not even be on social media. It's not worth it. It's not even, don't even bother with it. Don't even try and obfuscate it. It's not going to help you more than it's going to hurt you to not be on it. Does that make sense? Like, it's not going to outweigh itself. So if it's a security thing, or if you know someone who's worried about security and they're only putting up certain photos and things like that, I would say don't even use social media. Find other means of marketing yourself, because there's tons of other ways you can market yourself, and use the internet in the same way. And social media is not the be all end all. Remember, 20%. But if you're not going to use photos of your events, photos of your in your office, just photos of, just even your office with no one in it, like, that's even helpful. And have branded photos and have photos of yourself, because you are the face of your business, then I would say if social media is not right for you, don't even worry about using it. There are so many other ways to promote yourself. So I would definitely say to do that, to not worry about social media if it's going to be a security thing. But if it's not a security thing, then go ahead and do it. But just, you can be cautious of what you put up, but you're just not going to have to worry about it so much. All right. Any other questions? All right. So you can get the free pro toolkit. Like I said, you've got the link for the training bundle. I did want to do a couple of website audits if you guys want to do them. Since we don't have very many questions left, you can always still ask questions in the meantime. So I'll do first come, first serve. All right. Let me start here. Whoops, didn't copy it. There we go. Okay. Okay. Looks nice. I would say the background is a bit distracting. Makes it hard to read these things because they're on a color. I don't mind the photos. They're good photos. I didn't know these were clickable. This one's not clickable. This one is, and this one is, but this one's not. Okay. That's a little confusing. And let's see. Let's go to the about. Okay, this is a nice page. I think the background makes this hard to read. And this is still hard to read here. And okay. All right, this is interesting. I'm not sure what this page, I see it says shop and connect, but I would probably say there's a little bit too much going on here. I'm a little confused here. Let's see, programs. Okay, this is nice. I like this. This looks good. Okay, I would like to see a call to action here. Up in here. Right after this, like get started or something, even after I've just read this little bit, and then I'd like to see the call to action again here. Because you want to catch people even if they're kind of, they've already been to this page, they don't have to scroll all the way to the bottom, that kind of thing. And then contact. Okay, then you've got more services on here. I would definitely say that your website has a lot of good elements to it. I love this photo. I think this is great. This is probably going to be the biggest thing I would say is like the best photo. And I know I saw it on your Zoom account as well. I like your logo. I like your photo here. I think you have a lot of good pieces. I think they're just all mixed up and they're not in an order. So I would definitely say you need to rewireframe your website, which means you actually literally sit down with a piece of paper and you sketch out what should be on each page. And then you draw it up. I actually did a website session. Let's see, this one. And I will show you the thing. Here it is. This is what the wireframe looks like. There's the menu. Let me get rid of this. There's the menu, the call to action, the logo, the image is in a box. There's the header with a subhead and a button. Then there's the mission statement, service 1, 2, and 3 with a picture, title, description button for each one. This is a photo. And then this is some lines. This is a background, maybe like a dark color or a color. And then there's, read about us. And this is a photo of the people. So this is a wireframe of the homepage, and this is a wireframe of the about page. So this was a place with how to board, like a nonprofit, partners, calls to action. But you have a lot of pieces, they're just not in the right spots. So you have some sales things over here, some sales things over there, services over there, some things on the contact page. So I would definitely restructure what you have and write it out on paper first and then design it in the site. And let me ask you, are you using Wix by chance, Andrea? Aha, I can always tell a site by how it's designed. I would honestly recommend you move to Squarespace. It's going to be easier for you to manage. It's going to be just about the same amount of money that you're paying now, and it's going to give you a much more refined looking site. So I would honestly highly recommend you do that. All right, let's look at the next one. Hope that's helped. All right. Interesting. Okay. Collab resume. Okay, I understand what you do. I had to read the first few sentences. Okay, let me get rid of that. Resume service options. Okay, it's a lot of text. Here's your picture. Let me guess. Is this a separate page? It is. Okay. So this is a really long page. A lot of text. Some good sections with the pictures. I like those. But this is a lot of text. I'm not going to read all this, to be honest, if I'm a consumer. Even if I'm looking for the service, let me go to the about page. It doesn't even have your about information on it. So I'm looking for about you, and I don't see you on here. So I would definitely change that. Let's see. Reviews. Okay, I actually, honestly, I'm going to answer the question about Natalie's question about difference between Squarespace and Wix in just a minute. But these reviews on here, I actually believe that reviews should be on each sales or service page in context. Does that make sense? So if I'm talking about my branding day and I have a branding review, then I put that review on my branding day page so that people can see that 2 or 3 people have done this day and here's what they said about it. So I don't like reviews to just be on one whole page and now I have to sift through them to find, well, who did what I actually want to know about. And if you have a ton of reviews, I actually have so many now. I'm so great. No, I'm just kidding. Let me show you what I've done with mine. So because I have so many, I've put them into a portfolio. And if you click on one of these, you're going to see the video. You're going to see a little blurb, their website that we did. And then this was something she said in the video, worth every penny. And you can watch the video right here. So that's something that I did, was put them into like a portfolio. And I do have some of my best reviews on my specific branding page, logo or website page, etc. But when I work with someone, I always take a video of them. And then I always like to put it into this like portfolio, because if someone says, well, how many people have you actually worked with? It's like, well, hundreds. Would you like to see? And then I have this page I can link them to. This also, I share these every couple of weeks. So I get so many of these in here that I share them every couple of weeks. And then they go out to my email list and they go into my social media posts automatically. So this is another great piece of content that I'm already creating. And you could literally take all of these reviews that you had on this review page, and you could space them out and probably have enough to fill an entire year. Once a week, you could post a review. So it'd be great content for your social. So I just think this one also just has a lot of content in the wrong places. I would definitely rearrange all of it. I would change some of the photos, because this photo and this photo, this is what I would expect to see here. This one maybe, and this one not so much. This one is great because it's actually your colors, but also it's like a photo, like I guess of First Coast. And this one, let me go back. Where is it? This one behind here. Not so much. It's not resonating with me as much as your other ones. Okay. And then this bubble one, I'm not super in love with it for your brand. I feel like your brand is better, and then your actual logo could be more. There could be more here, and your actual logo needs to actually go up here in the top corner. So there's lots of little things here I see. So there's just lots of little stuff I would just change. And then this here is too stocky for you. I don't think you're this type of stocky type photo guy. I would rather see something a little more along the lines of what we talked about a minute ago with more military or more the ocean stuff. But you have to be careful about that. You don't want to be too oceany because then it looks too like, life coachy, and that's not what you're doing. So I think there's a lot that could be done here. There's a lot of potential here. And I think that you just have a ton of stuff on here. Let me guess what this is in. I want to say Weebly or WordPress, but I'm not sure. I'm a little confused. Tell me what this one's in. It's in Squarespace. I think it's because of these background sections, like this moving background, like this video background. That kind of makes me think old, like old site design, the way we used to do sites. So I think you've got a lot of pieces here to fix, but I think you have a good structure, and I'm glad you're in Squarespace. So that's awesome. And are you in 7.0 or 7.1? If you're in 7.0, I would highly recommend moving to 7.1. 7.1 is the newest, and it does have, you just upgraded. Perfect. Yeah, I would just go in and maybe do some design edits and rearrange your content. So that's going to give you more conversion. Okay, who's next? Married for Life. Let's look at it. I hope this is helpful because this is going to help you with your social media as well. Oh, that's one I just went to. Hold on, didn't copy. There we go. Okay. Not bad. Weebly. I didn't know what to look for that one. Didn't know what to guess. Click on About. Okay. Okay. There are no calls to action on those pages. Or this one, really. Well, it's right here. It says by appointment only, but I can't click on it to make an appointment. So donate. This picture does not go with your aesthetic. Okay, interesting. There's no about you here. I would rather see that, because if I'm going to work with someone and tell them all my intimate details, I'm going to want to know who they are. I'm going to want to put a face to a name. And yeah, this isn't enough. I definitely think you should be on here. If you have other counselors that you're working with, I think they should be on here. Do your services cost money? Let me ask that question. Okay. Honestly, and I know that there's, rules around nonprofits and all that kind of stuff. But if your services cost money and you're asking me to donate, I'm going to find that if I was just going to come to donate, or if I was coming to look for services, I might find that interesting unless I knew what the donations were going towards. Is it going towards people who can't afford and you're helping them out? Is it going to like scholarship type funds? I'm not going to donate just to donate. I'm going to donate for a cause. And I don't feel that there's a cause that's being presented here. There may be, I just don't know it, right? So I don't see that. I'm not being not convinced, but persuaded that there's a cause. So if there was like a scholarship program I could donate towards, where I knew that my gift was going towards someone who maybe needed help but couldn't afford it, was going to be able to get free counseling or free help, or if there was something that you're giving to and you're putting that money towards, that would be great. Then I would also like to see maybe some pricing, like starting at $25 an hour, starting at $50 an hour, starting at $100 an hour, so that I know what my price point is. Because I might come to you and be like, I can afford 25 bucks an hour. Is that you? But then we might waste each other's time because I don't have that information up front, and I can't make that best decision for me up front before I make an appointment with you or call you. And also, when I see appointment, the word appointment, I want to click it, especially if it's underlined. And I want to actually see calls to action here. I don't see any calls to action on this page or really any of the pages except the call me, which it's not even clickable. I can't even click it, right? Because if I'm on my phone, I'm going to want to click it. Now I have to copy it. And on my phone, it's harder to copy. And then I got to paste it into my phone system, or I got to try and remember it and then write it over there. And so there's all these little things that make it annoying for consumers. We just don't think about when we're building a site. So really consider those things and see if there's something you can change on those. I like that you've got home about, services, donate, contact, very clear. This unrealistic expectations thing, I think, doesn't really belong under about. I think it belongs somewhere else. I'm not sure where, but have to work through that. And it might even just be like a blog post, like an educational blog post. And then I think the about page needs a little bit more about you as a person and whoever else is helping you with counseling or doing counseling with you. If there's anyone else, I think that's important as well. As far as, and I didn't check this on the other ones, so let me actually go, I'm going to do this one first, then we'll go back. I'm going to make this mobile size. Close this. All right, so this is what it looks like on mobile, or what it should look like on mobile. Okay, not bad. Let me click here. Okay, about. Okay, it's not too bad. Let's go to the last site. This is what we look like on mobile here. Squarespace always does really well with mobile, so I'm not too worried about this one. It's just really long. Look how many times I'm scrolling. Woo, okay. Let's go to this one. All right, this is what we see on mobile from yours, Cricket. Well, Andrea, this is what yours looks like. I have to scroll to the left. I have to scroll to the right. So the reason this is probably not looking like the same thing is because what Wix does is they have a separate mobile site. And this is what you would see if you were looking at it responsively. So when you go on a phone, it knows you're on a phone, and it does totally different things. You could have a totally different looking site. But if it's responsive, like Squarespace, then you don't have to worry about having a separate site and managing a separate site or a separate homepage or a separate whatever. It's all one piece, and it all looks good, whether you're on a desktop or you're on a mobile site. It does what it's supposed to do automatically. My site is not a separate site for mobile. It is a Squarespace site, and it does this by itself. Okay. So, and so I would definitely want you to look at, because when responsive happens, maybe I have a really small computer and I only see, like the small part, right? But maybe if I have a larger computer, I see the whole thing, right? So I might have a smaller computer and it's getting cut off, or maybe I'm on my iPad and it's not recognizing it and it's getting cut off. Okay. So I would definitely say responsive is better, because when you're on responsive, it doesn't matter what size, it automatically adjusts. Let me go up here. Let's see if I can, there we go. See, it's automatically adjusting by itself. Okay. So, all right. Got a few more here. Let's look. All right. It's Tara Lynn, her podcast. All right. Oh, okay. Lots of stuff happening at the bottom here. I would definitely fix some of these. I think there's some issues with coding or something here. This is going too far to the sides. Let's actually make this small. Doesn't look bad on this way, but it does not look great like this. So definitely check that out. It's also very sparse. I know you want something clean, but doesn't have to all be white. Let's look at the VA business blueprint. Okay. This is a little large here. It's a little blurry, so you might want to check that. I didn't even know that you could click this. I didn't know why this would be clickable, but I see it goes to something else. And this is a totally different site through Teachable. Yeah, I think you have a really good, you have a good start of a brand. I don't see your logo up here either. I'd like to see a logo here. I think you have a great start of a brand, but I feel like you also have a lot of pieces that have been put together that maybe don't all go together. Like the colors are very bright, but then, and I know the purple is your purple, but you're not wearing purple. I don't see purple anywhere else on the site, except here, and it's not the same purple. And so that makes sense. This is orange. I'm not sure why. GoDaddy is actually one of my least favorites. But like for themes and stuff, and WordPress is one of my least favorites. However, I think you have a lot of great pieces. I just think it's got a lot of finessing and just fine tuning to do. So you got a lot of stuff here, which is great. But when you look at this too, you got a lot of things here in this section, and then contact is hidden under motivation. If I go to make it small, when I go to look at this, this is going to take up basically my whole screen of, this is all menu. And I have to scroll. If I have all these open, I have to scroll past all this. Excuse me, to get to, wait, where am I? Okay, this is all menu. Okay, now I'm at the page, right? Does that make sense? So it can be a bit much. So I would definitely look into that and look at trying to just to pare that down, or at least get that a little more reorganized. All right, I got one more. Anybody else want theirs done? Let me know. I'll do one more. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. Didn't copy. There we go. All right. So this is a Shopify site, right? Shopify or BigCommerce? Oh yeah, Shopify. Okay. I will show you another Shopify site. Let me think. I believe. Yes, this is a Shopify site. Do you see how different it looks? Right? So there's so much more that you can do with Shopify. There are really great templates. And I think having this where there's not a template that you're using, it's hurting you a little bit. I think that having everything really organized and separate here is great. I think this is great. It's beautiful pictures. Looks like you've got some great photos. But I definitely, you got example collection title thrown in there. Might want to take that one out. But excuse me. I think this is great. Your photos are great, but I would definitely look at doing a template and actually filling that in and fleshing that out. Let's see here. Yeah, your photos look great. The other thing I would look at too, when you take your photos, try taking them all the same size. Meaning, once you've taken a photo, either do them all long like this or do them all square like this. Don't have some that are square and some that are long and some that are rectangle. And do you see how it looks all choppy? But look at this. They're almost all exactly the same size and they look great. If you need to pull back on your photos some to get this full thing into the square, pull back, make it a little bit smaller. They don't all have to be huge. Then when you actually click on something, have more photos that show different angles or different ways of styling it or whatnot. You don't have to have them all so close. I would have them all staged the same way to start. So if you want to do them all like this, I love this. It's very unique. It's very different. And then when I actually click on it, show me a close-up of one of them. Show me a close-up of the clasp. Show me a close-up of the back. And then I can show me a close-up of them together, laying on top of each other. Then I can actually see more of what I'm getting, right? So I know it's a pain to take extra photos, but I would highly recommend it, especially for the type of stuff that you're trying to do here. And the stuff you're trying to sell. So, and especially this, I know what it says because it says it up here, but I would like to see these laid sideways in a different photo so I can actually read it and go, oh, that's cool. I love what she did there, right? So this is definitely, there's some pieces here that you're missing as far as sales go. And again, you've got so many different backgrounds. I love this one. I think this one is the best. So I would say always photograph yours here. And then maybe have secondary photos that look like this or this, this. But this would be your primary. So all of your stuff would look like this. So for example, if we go back to, let me see here. Here we go, quick zip. If I go to quick zip and I go to shop, you can see that all their photos are the same size. And they're showing you, this is a starter pack. This is another starter pack. They use two different photos here because they look pretty much the same. They're sheets, right? Then there's flannel, and they show you that in a different way. So it looks different. So it doesn't look the same like that because it's different fabric. And then they show you the separates. So if I go to shop separates, let's say flat sheets, I just want to buy those. Look at they're different colors, all done the same. And when I click on it, I can see that this is the thing, but then I can see the different colors. See how there's multiple photos options because of the different colors? You could have the same thing if it's just one color. You could have multiple photos underneath that show these are the different angles of it, right? So anyway, I hope that that's helped. And I want to thank everybody for coming today and for participating. I really enjoyed working with you all. And you guys have any more questions for me? Tried switching to Squarespace before. Do you know if they made it where you can just, no, you cannot convert. You do need to start over, and there's a reason for that. You do need to start over because you have to redesign in their platform, and you also don't want to bring any junk, and I'll say junk, from the other platform into the new one. You want to start with a clean slate. You're going to have to rearrange all your pages anyway. So I would not recommend even a program that would let you do that because there really isn't one for Squarespace. But even if there was another system you'd want to move into just because it was easy, I would say not do that. So that would be my answer for that. You're very welcome, Angela. Thank you so much. Thank you. I love doing this. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Sherry, learn the hard way. Yeah. WordPress. They haven't really updated as much as they should have. And they also have added a lot of things that have made it very cumbersome for most people. And it's not intuitive for people who don't understand design or who haven't done a lot of design. But when you use Squarespace, they've already built in so much of the design. It's very hard to screw it up. You still have to have some design knowledge because you can make it look kind of boring, but they have a lot more things that are put in place so that you don't screw it up, if that makes sense. So that's the difference between Wix and Squarespace. Also, the difference between Squarespace and WordPress for safety and privacy is that Squarespace locks everything in so they can control what the technology can do and cannot do. WordPress does not lock those things in. They leave it what's called open source. So you can make WordPress really, really custom if you know how to code. But if you don't know how to code and other people do, which hackers do know how to code, they can actually make it a nightmare for you with all the patches and the security issues and the holes and then the repatches. And the other thing is there's no WordPress thing that tells you, oh, there was a security issue, you should patch this. You kind of just have to know, and you have to like be in groups where other people are already talking about it. There are things like plugins and themes and different things like that you have to keep on top of, and you have to make sure you're doing password security. You're doing all your security yourself because it's open source. It's open to you to do whatever you want with it for WordPress. But Squarespace is locked down. They have very tight security. They're running it for you. Yes, you're paying a little bit more, a few dollars more a month, but it's very, very worth it. And it's a lot quicker to create things and to use Squarespace than it is WordPress. And it also just gives you that more refined look much, much quicker. Yeah, so and like I said, if anybody's looking to work with me directly, I do a lot of classes. Obviously, I'll just scroll down here. You'll see I'm teaching a lot this month and next month. So I'm teaching a lot of things right now, but I don't do any like mentorship through SBDC or anything right now because I would want to help people with my services, and that's conflict of interest. So I'm not a mentor with SCORE. I'm not a mentor with SBDC, but I do counseling and consulting, coaching. I do something called clarity calls, and I also do one-on-one sessions with people. So if you guys are interested, I'd love to work with you. Someone had a question about paying a few more dollars a month in hosting. Yes, correct. For Squarespace, you pay about $15 a month, 15 to 18. And for WordPress, you can get away with as little as $4 to $5 a month for hosting, but you do have to do more in terms of, knowing security, creating your own security, installing your own security, and all that kind of stuff. Any other questions? And feel free to book a call with me. I'm pretty open. I have a couple of days a week that I have open for calls. And if you want to chat, or if you want to just learn about more things that I can help you with or whatnot, please do feel free to send me a message. Okay. Well, I'm going to post this in the chat one more time, just the link for everybody. And I hope that you've really enjoyed today. I know we're ending a little bit early, but that's why I'm saying if you guys have questions, I'm here. Definitely want to make sure you get your money's worth, as they say. And I do apologize, the video wasn't working. That was a real bummer for me because I like to have that as part of an element of what we do together, but technology is what it is today. Do you need a website designer to create a website in Squarespace, or can someone attempt it on their own? I think you could attempt it on your own. I believe that everybody has the ability to do this. It doesn't mean it's going to come out like mine. Doesn't mean it's going to come out the way I would recommend. Kevin did his and it looked pretty good. I wasn't too mad at it, right? Like I didn't have too much to say about it. There were some issues with like different things, but he did a pretty good job. Like he was on his way, but just some rearranging. So yeah, he did pretty good. So I think you can do it on your own, but you can also see a difference between Kevin's site and some of the other sites we looked at, and the difference between how clean it looked and how concise it looked, as far as the same colors, the same fonts, and all that. Squarespace really does a great job of kind of reining you in a little bit with those things. So definitely you can do it on your own, and you might even ask Kevin about his experience. Takes a bit to learn depending on your experience. Yeah, there you go. Easy to use. Exactly. And that's why I like to build sites with a client in a day on Squarespace, because it is easy to use and it is easy to create something, but having the knowledge of design and having the knowledge of marketing, it really does help make it go much faster. So yeah. All right. Any other questions? You can also get discounts through my links as well. So remember, we talked about the Pro Toolkit. Every site that I did, so Squarespace doesn't give out, what is it? They don't give out coupons or anything very often. But if you are a member of their circle, which means you've done more than 3 or 4, I think it's 4 sites, then, and I've done over 100, then you get discounts you can give to your clients. So I always do that, but you can't give them out unless you actually build the site, which I think is silly, but anyway. But if you go to the Pro Toolkit, you'll see links for Squarespace and Social Pilot, and there are discounts attached with some of those. So yeah. Well, I thank you guys all for joining. Oh, thanks. Okay. Would you say your website would be your primary focus? I actually think you should do things in the order that I mentioned. So I'll actually pull it up here. Here we go. So this is the order I recommend. You create your brand first. That should be your focus, is that brand. Then and collect all those photos together and make sure you know what your vision is. Make sure you know what your mission is. Make sure you got your business plan together. Excuse me. Make sure you have that, you know, that statement that you can say. Like I say, I help people to create a 1 year of marketing in 5 days. Like that's my statement, right? So make sure you have that one liner that you can really say that's going to give people that exact thing that you do, and you know what it is that you do, and give them that essence of this is what the company is about. And then once you create that brand, then I would move on to the website. Fix that website up, get it so that it's not confusing. Do a usability test. I'm actually teaching a class on this tomorrow night. Yes, tomorrow night. No, tonight. I'm sorry, tonight at Square, or sorry, Score. It's on my website right now. You can sign up. It's a 5-part series. I'm actually talking about websites, and I'm going to talk more in depth about usability testing. I'm going to talk about what you should put on it, what you shouldn't, all that stuff. And that's a free class. I think it's a free class. Might be. No, maybe not. I have to look at it again. I think this one's a 5 series. It's not free, but ICF is International Coaching Federation, and that is a private talk that I'm doing, but I did list it just because I am talking there. But I would definitely say it would be first, there it is. First brand, then website, then social media. Yeah, $75 for the 5-part series. That's right. They did charge for it this time. $75 for this 5-part series. They had the first one, which you can get as a recording, which was about branding. The second one tonight, which is about websites. And then next week, we'll talk about social media. The next week, blogging, etc. Yeah, Score sets their own pricing. I don't get usually paid for those. It's usually all volunteer. And this session that I taught today is really that $11.99 that we saw earlier. That's like what I would normally charge for a 4-hour session. It's a lot, but you guys are special. So UNF loves you. Jacoby loves you. And that's why you guys get it. So I'm glad I was able to be here for that. But I would definitely say this is your order here. Is to start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Resources for helping with SEO. I actually think SEO. Oh, you guys are welcome. Thank you. Thanks, Bob. I think that the SEO is sort of a myth. You might not agree with me, but it is sort of a myth. And I would say that the best SEO you can do is to make sure that you have these 5 pieces in place and blog for SEO. And blog for SEO means that you're creating content that Google likes and Google wants. And you're not duplicating yourself across multiple websites. So you're not guest posting and then also putting that same post on your own website. That's bad. Google doesn't like that. And then you're just making sure that your content is clear. I actually got a call from someone the other day because, and this is a true story, legit, they called me because they Googled best business in Jacksonville. And for some reason I came up. I'm not sure why. And so I would definitely say that if you're putting stuff on your website, like all this text, everything I write is my SEO. It's part of my SEO. It's not a mystery of how to do SEO. And I think a lot of these companies and these gurus obfuscate it. And I think it's unfortunate. So I think that it's much easier than people think. So the resource would be learn to write good content and write a lot of it. Repeat the name of the program. You showed us how to manage different social. Yes. So social media, if you go to the Pro Toolkit, you can also get this through the other link I sent you as well. The Pro Toolkit towards the bottom, it's under the S's. It's called Social Pilot. It's right here. Now, if you want the discount link, you'll need to go through the link that I sent you and sign in, and then get the Pro Toolkit from there. All right. Any other questions? Thank you guys so much. I so appreciate you being here today.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, we can wrap up. But if you guys think of something, please put it in the chat. And can definitely go from there. Thanks, Emily. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Sherry. Thanks, Chantal. See you, Andrew. You're welcome, MJ. Yeah, see you tonight on the score call. Hopefully my camera will be working by then. Thanks, Carolyn. Oh, thanks, Diane. It's good to see you here.
As always, a great presentation.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. I'm glad you stayed for the whole thing. I was surprised. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a long time for her.
Like it is, but it's so much good and so much I hadn't heard before. So it was great.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I do this with my clients on the full days as well. So this is just a little smidge of what we get into in a full day. All right, you guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. And Teresa, and I know Teresa and Chantal are recording, or that account is recording. So I will ask them to just send me the link to the video when it's done so I can put everything together and put it in for you guys. But that's it, I think. Thank you guys so much. I'm so thrilled to be here and to be able to share with you today. So thanks.